I'll talk about that movie too.
Oh yeah. Well, I hit record. I don't know why.
My bad.
Yeah, that's fine. We're good. We're live. We're live.
Going in there.
Welcome to Lord Pod. It is going in there. Welcome to Lord Pod Gaming and and our podcast, Stick Drift, that we have. I don't know if it's like on a bi-weekly basis or on a monthly basis. Just whenever we feel like we're gonna do it, that's when we do it.
Whenever we all have time to do it.
Yeah, that's when we do it. But I'm Lord Pog, and I'm being joined by Dem Old School Gamer, Androit, and by the one who conceived the idea for this podcast, Crazy. So, tonight's topic, our main topic, or what we're starting with, is we're going to talk about PlayStation's or Sony's state of play and Microsoft's what was that called? Direct.
Developer Direct.
Yeah, Developer Direct. So Sony's state of play and Microsoft's Developer Direct, and the upcoming games there. Now, I haven't watched Xbox's Developer Direct, so I'm not entirely sure what games are coming out for that. I did watch some of Sony's state of play, and there's one particular game that I want to talk about really freaking badly, but I think I'm going to hold off for a minute because we just had Friday the 13th. And so this is kind of, I feel like the whole Friday the 13th thing is kind of hovering above this whole thing. And it's so funny this year though, guys. We had Friday the 13th, and then the very next day we had Valentine's Day. So if that's not irony, I don't know what is. And honestly, my Friday the 13th wasn't that bad. My Valentine's Day really sucked. But and it's not because of like my wife or anything like that. It's because of my job. My job insisted that I miss my Valentine's Day with my family. So yeah, it was almost like I had my Friday the 13th on Valentine's Day. So that was something. Yeah, that was something special. And as a result of that, yeah, they're gonna find out. They're gonna learn pretty soon here. With that said, though, crazy.
When I throw them in the wood chipper.
Yeah. So yeah, show them how we do Friday the 13th.
For legal reasons, that was a joke.
Yeah. But yo, crazy. So you watched the Developer Direct though, right?
Yeah, I watched both of them actually.
Okay, well,
if I'm not mistaken, I think Nintendo had a Direct recently also, but from what I remember, it was primarily indie titles.
Yeah.
That they were.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about they put out that Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever, and it's not selling good. And the reason why it's not selling good is because there's no games, dude. It's all
Donkey
it's all
Kong
old.
Bonanza.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and that's cool. But
That's the only one.
Yeah, there's nothing else. Like everything else is from the old Nintendo Switch that you can play on Nintendo Switch 2, from my understanding. But they don't have like a new Mario game. They don't have a new Zelda game. They don't, you know what I mean? They just have not Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's not enough to get me to spend $400 or $500, whatever it is, on a Switch 2. You know what I'm saying? So
$70 for Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah, because the Switch came hard. I mean, it re-released Mario RPG Remastered, for crying out loud.
Yeah, Switch 1 is gangster.
Yeah, if Switch 2 really wanted
to put out all kinds of stuff for that.
If Switch 2 really wanted to set a precedence, they should have did Mario RPG 2 Part 2. That would have done something.
Granted, they upped their excuse me, they upped their graphics and stuff like that, so you can play like Call of Duty and Madden and all that stuff on it now too. But I mean, if you already got a PlayStation or an Xbox or both, why are you going to buy those games on a Switch 2 as well? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make very much sense to me.
Sounds like if you got a
So I
Switch
don't know what
1, why would you
Nintendo's
buy a
thinking
Switch
right
2?
now, but I'm hoping that they have something, in plan for, like, whether it be Mario or Zelda or Metroid or something, Star Fox, something. One of
Mm.
their
Feels
one of
more
their
like Switch Pro.
Smash
yeah,
Brothers.
that's literally what it feels like. Yeah, and I'm not going to spend that much money on that. I don't even have a Switch 2. I don't even plan on getting one right now.
Yeah.
No, if you got a Switch
Yeah,
1,
so-
it doesn't sound like you needed to.
Right.
So what was
Exactly.
your looking at that developer direct though? What
Mhm.
game stood out to you the most?
Okay, so what I'm going to say about both of them, the developer direct and the PlayStation, is I think PlayStation had a better presentation by far. And it's not necessarily because I thought they had better games, but they did have some really good games. But a lot of it was, you saw the same games on both of the presentations because, they're coming out for both consoles. But it was that PlayStation showed way more games than what Xbox did. Xbox, I think, maybe showed 5 or 6 or maybe 4, and then a couple indie games, and that was it. PlayStation showed a ton, but a lot of what PlayStation showed is also coming to Xbox.
I did notice
As
that.
far
I
as
did notice that. Yeah.
yeah, as far as the Xbox goes, as far as that presentation goes, um, Fable, Fable. That game looks great.
You think so?
They've redone it. Oh yeah. I think it looks great.
I think the combat looks really cool. I'm kind of on the fence
Um,
about some of the other things, but
yeah, I think it looks great. Um, it was getting a lot of flack because the main character looked like a boy and she was a girl and all
She
this, that,
is
and the other.
ugly. She is so
Yes,
ugly, and
yes,
like
but-
not the actress who actually plays her. I've seen pictures of the girl. They actually, you know what I'm saying? She's actually not an ugly, but they do this in games with these actresses.
Well,
they get them,
yeah,
they get
before
them
you
in
go-
there, and they make them ugly as
Before you
sin.
freak out, I think they heard the criticism because now you create your own character.
Yeah, they're like
You
nobody's
create
gonna
your own
want to be that
character,
ugly.
and yeah, you create your own character, and so you can make it however you want it to be. I guess is the way to put that.
Mhm.
But yeah, as far as the game itself goes, that game, I cannot wait for that game to come out. That game is going to be super fun. And I think the reason why I like it, or why it's appealing to me, I should say, I haven't played it, so I can't say I like it yet, but is I always like game like The Outer Worlds 2, where your dialogue can change the outcome of your gameplay, change the outcome of the story, or outcome of the story, and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right.
So, and it does all that, and it's got the old school. You can be good or bad or whatever, and yeah. So that and Forza looks
Yeah.
pretty good, but Forza doesn't look any different. Forza to me doesn't look any different than the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? Just looks like the same game in a different location, but it's Forza, so it's like Madden. When Madden comes out, it's probably the same game, but you're still going to buy it because it's Madden. Well,
Yeah.
I am because I'm a football fan.
Right.
I'm a football fan. So yeah, that was the main two from Xbox. Now there were other games there that they showcased, of course, that I want to play. 007, Beast Reincarnate.
yeah,
Of course, Resident Evil,
Mhm.
Requiem. That's a given for me. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I'm a big fan of Resident Evil.
Well, I will say this about Fable before we get too far away from that, and I had to look this up because I always have to look this dude's name up to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. But it will have Richard Ayoade in it. And I don't know if you know who that is.
Mhm.
If you're like familiar with that show, The IT Crowd, it's a British show, but it's so dang funny. Like it is one of the. It's like it's got Matt Berry and Chris O'Dowd in it. Noel Fielding from the Mighty Boosh. It's got all these
Mhm.
it's got all these guys in it, and Richard Ayoade is the and I don't know how much they've changed about the story
Like
of
the giant guy?
yeah, he's the big guy that discovers you when you're all little like that. He's because when Fable first got announced, I watched the trailer for it and did a review on it. And Android, I think you were there too. I think you and I both watched the trailer for that and did that review on it. And that was one of
You
the
were there. You were there.
and you were there. And that was like one of the things we talked about originally with the original concept of it was it's cool. Richard Ayoade is going to be in it and he's funny. He's always funny. But your character is so dang ugly. It was just unreal, like how ugly they made you. Like and like I said, the actress isn't actually that hideous. Just video games like to do this, but if he's still in it, then that's going to be pretty cool. I haven't seen anything for it since I watched that one trailer because I was like, I like Richard Ayoade, but I don't know if I can play something that looks like a bowl of dog water that a cat pissed in. I don't know if I could play a character like that, through a whole game. I can't look at something like that through the it makes sense. You play Splatterhouse.
Like that.
It makes sense when you play Splatterhouse and you look grotesque. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to play a grotesque woman through an entire game. I'm not trying to do that, If I'm going to play a woman character, if I want to make her grotesque, that's one thing, but don't start me off looking like, a fart that the
Like
devil
I said,
caught and painted green. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not trying to do that.
Sure. And like I said, I think they heard the criticism because it's not that way anymore. You do create your own character as you see fit to create them.
The thing that I'm on the
pretty
fence
excited
about
about that one.
is like there are some cool additions to the way that they're interpreting the reputation system. Like you can go in there and talk to any NPC and build an individual relationship with them based
Mhm.
off of kind of like factions or qualities that you've obtained and tags or whatever. There's like a tag system. So every NPC is going to react to you differently, and that's cool. What I am on the fence about is something that I liked about the old games. I don't know if they removed this exactly, but I didn't see any indication that it was implemented. I missed that the reputation showed on your character. You know what I mean? Like if you were good,
like
you get
if you're
the
evil, you
magic
started
signals
growing
on your
horns and all
body.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're evil, you'll grow horns type deal. Like I really like that. And I hope it's something that they re-implement and don't just leave out altogether.
Yeah. Well, okay, Android. What game are you excited? What game excited you to see coming out? Because we'll talk about it right now. There was no Kingdom Hearts. We did not see any
Kingdom Hearts. I'm kind of expecting that if we're going to see any Kingdom Hearts stuff, that it's going to be from like a developer showcase from Square, right?
From Square.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I wish, but whatever. One of those things from the showcase.
Or it may come out during the summer showcase.
Yeah, Summer Game Fest type deal. Like that's possible too. But from the state of play, the one that I was kind of like, oh yeah, is Castlevania. But outside of all of that, Dragon Ball also announced that they're, Toei Animation Studios announced that they're working on a new Dragon Ball game project, and they're just calling it Age 1000. that's something that I'm going to be excited about, looking forward to in the future. Um, it's got like an all new, originally designed character for the game or whatever, So, I thought it was really funny because it kind of like seems like Toriyama might have been a fan of old school Fantasy Star or Star Ocean based on this character design.
Uh-huh.
Kind of funny. But that's kind of what I'm looking at mostly. I'm excited about that Castlevania for sure.
I when you showed me that the Belmont's curse and everything, and I remember that conversation because I was like, is it another one in Lords of Shadow? And you're like, man.
Oh, shut up.
I was like, I really want them. Okay, to be fair, I know Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 was just it was crap on a cracker, and the crackers doesn't even have salt for flavor. I get that. But the first Castlevania Lords of Shadow was really good. And I really wish they just make a third game in that series to kind of as an apology for what they did to the second game. Just kind of as an apology. We're really sorry.
I like Lords of Shadow, but yeah.
But Belmont's Curse,
a true to form Castlevania game is nice.
And it's a Metroidvania, and it looks really good. It does look really good, and I can't tell if the main character is a woman or not. But again, anybody who knows the original Castlevania, leaving out Lords of Shadow, which is its own timeline story, blah blah blah. But anybody who knows the Castlevania actual lore knows that there is a woman Belmont who predates Simon Belmont from the very first game that we've never gotten a game about. We have very little lore about her. So, I'm kind of excited to see if they're actually like finally telling that story or if they're just going to make a whole new Castlevania thing. Either way, it can be done really well. There is history about a woman Belmont who predates most of the Belmonts that we know of, Simon Belmont, Richter Belmont, all of them. So I think that'd be really cool if they just told that story. If they just told that story of her. I can't remember what her name is now, and I meant to look it up. I know she either comes before Christopher Belmont or after Christopher Belmont. And he's actually showcased in the original Game Boy Castlevania games. That's who you're playing, is Christopher Belmont in the Game Boy Castlevania game. So I think it would just be really interesting if they actually made a game based on that lore. Because then it won't, it won't feel like DEI then. It won't feel like they're checking boxes. They already have the lore there, It's fair then, They're not like trying to do the force is female type of thing, By the way, Kathleen Kennedy has retired from Lucasfilm. She's no longer running it. So R.I.P. Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, rest in hell.
Do you have an applause sound effect we can throw on for that?
Oh,
I've never been so happy in my life.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, Kathleen, you know what I'm saying? Rest in hell, lady. May you shame the devil.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, though,
I'm so happy that that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, still lots of cool games coming out.
Another one I wanted to mention that was
really cool.
Which one? Oh, Control.
Control.
Yeah, Control looks
really cool. They got the new Legacy of Kain coming out.
Legacy of Kain remastered. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Crimson Moon. Crimson Moon looks pretty cool.
007.
007. Cool stuff.
Yeah. All right. So the one that I was the most excited about. All right. And it goes right in line with this Friday the 13th type theme that I have in my head. And I don't know why I'm so excited about this game because I really shouldn't play it because this game looks so freaking cursed. It looks so freaking cursed. But the Hellraiser game that is coming out just looks so...
Yeah.
It looks so freaking... Oh my goodness. It looks
disgusting. It's awesome.
Yeah, it has such sights to show us. It really does. Like it's got such wonders to share. I mean, like I was watching it, just the preview alone, I don't even know how they got away with showing that preview the way that they did. Because it's raunchy, it's graphic, it's delightful. Dare I say it's delicious. I was watching it just completely, and it's coming for Xbox and PlayStation. And so I know that if it's going to be on Xbox, it's going to be on PC, and I am there for it. 100% there for it. I cannot wait to play. Because, I mean, if we're not going to get another Bloodborne game, we might as well get something like Hellraiser, And I think it's...
I'll have to look that up. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, man. It's Hellraiser something. I can't remember what the full title is called. New Hellraiser game. Called Hellraiser Revival is what it's called. Revival. And it'll be out. Well, it's dated for this year. It'll be out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC Steam. It's a first-person action horror survival, and it just looks... The main character, at times when I was watching it and they kept pausing it, he looked just like freaking... He looked like Josh Hartnett to me. I don't know why. I was like, did they get Josh Hartnett to play this, to actually be in this game? Like, did they actually get him? But what's really cool is they got the original Pinhead to return to voice Pinhead, from the movies, because he basically quit playing Pinhead after the Hellraiser movies just got so... I think his name is Doug Bradley, and if I'm not... I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure his name is Doug Bradley, and if I'm wrong, somebody in the comments is going to eat me alive for that. But I'm pretty sure his name is Doug Bradley. But he... the problem with the Hellraiser movies in general is the studio, whatever studio that owns the rights to the series right now, they will basically push out because in order to keep the rights to a movie, to like a series like that, you have to create stuff using the IP. And so what they'll do is they'll wait and let the IP, the rights almost run out, and then they'll just quickly kick out a movie to it. And, you had Hellraisers 1, 2, 3, and 4, which were all Hellraiser movies. And then you had 1, 2, 3 movies that came out after the fourth one. Bloodlines, I think, is what the fourth Hellraiser movie is called. Then they had 3 other Hellraiser movies that came after Bloodline, whose names I can't remember. But one of them is actually not too bad. One of them is actually pretty good. Because it's all weird and real vague, and you're not entirely sure what the heck. And I can't remember what that one's called. I think it's called Hellraiser Requiem, but I could be wrong. But what they did with those movies is they weren't actually originally Hellraiser movies. What they were scripts for other movies that they were making that they just had kind of like lying around in production hell. And when they got close to losing the Hellraiser IP, they would just say, okay, we'll do some reshoots, throw Pinhead in there, and now it's a Hellraiser movie. And so like it's actually four of these Hellraiser movies that they made weren't originally Hellraiser movies at all, that they just threw Pinhead into to make them Hellraiser movies. And so they're kind of disjointed. Well, then they made another Hellraiser movie called Hellraiser Revelation that actually was a Hellraiser movie, but it was so terrible that Doug Bradley finally said, that's it, I'm done. And he quit playing Pinhead. And so after Hellraiser Revelation, and then they made two more Hellraiser movies after that are Hellraiser movies. That you got the Hellraiser movie that came out with like where they're like low key trying to replace Pinhead with this other guy who's like the accountant or something that they call him. I can't remember now. I can't even remember the name of the movie. The original Pinhead isn't in that, and then they made and then Hulu released that Hellraiser remake, basically reboot, soft reboot type thing. Not even a soft reboot, it's a straight up reboot. And Doug Bradley doesn't play in that either. So it's really cool to see him returning this after this long-winded explanation of all this. It's really cool to see him return as the voice of Pinhead. And that's kind of what that's kind of why I'm kind of behind this game in the first place, is because these movies got so bad and this dude had played Pinhead for so long and believed in that character and played Pinhead through 4 pretty terrible movies. Now, I kind of like them in a weird sort of way because they're so freaking weird, all except there is a Hellraiser movie, I think it's called Hell World, that actually has a young Henry Cavill in it. So Henry Cavill has been in a Hellraiser movie. Him and that that show Vikings, the lady who plays the blonde lady who plays the main character's wife, yeah, she's in it. So there, and it's got Lance Hendrickson. So there is a Hellraiser movie out there that is pretty bad that has Henry Cavill, Lance Hendrickson, and that girl in it. You know what I mean? So that's just crazy facts too. But yeah, it's not very good. and in fact, it's the worst one out of all the ones that I just mentioned that came after that. Those 4 movies, it's probably the worst one, oddly enough. And it's got the most star power in it. So there you go. But yeah, this Doug Bradley played Pinhead, believed in the character enough to play in like 4 Hellraiser movies that really weren't Hellraiser movies, and stick with it. And then he gets to Revival or Revelation, and he's just like, it's just too much. And that one was written as a Hellraiser movie, and he's like, this just sucks though. this is just god awful, And so he gives up on the Pinhead character. And so he must be believing in this project enough that he's like, yeah, I'll come back and be the voice of him. I'll reprise my role as Pinhead, So I'm kind of excited for this game, because if it's got Doug Bradley on board coming back at least as the voice of Pinhead, I mean, it must have something to it, man. And so I'm really excited to play this, what looks like this uber cursed game, this, because it does. It just looks so demented. It looks so demented, and I'm 100% there for it. 100% there for it.
You're 100% behind it.
I am 100% going to play this game, and like it's gonna warp me somehow. I know it is, because if it's Clive Barker, and it's about time. Clive Barker made that game Jericho, and that was an interesting game. that was like on like the Xbox 360. That was like the Xbox 360 days, and that was an interesting concept for a game, but it itself was cursed. It had rushed productions and things like that, and it just didn't get to. It was a good idea, but poorly executed. It didn't get to live up to its potential. And you can tell just by the way the game ends. It just kind of ends abruptly, and you're kind of like, that's it. You feel like there's more to it, and there's just really not. So, I just kind of hope we get a definitive Clive Barker Hellraiser game that is Hellraiser. Makes you feel like, yeah, I'm in one of these. I'm in this movie, and I'm experiencing that. Would you look at that? So
right.
Yeah, that's the one I'm excited for. Is Hellraiser.
They got a Halloween game coming out too.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, with Michael Myers. Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
yes,
I didn't know
sir.
that. Nope, I didn't know they were making a Halloween game. I wonder, because I know on like Dead by Daylight, right? Pinhead was one of the killers for a while there, and he's gone now. Like, you can't. From what I heard, and this might have changed from the last time I heard it, but it wasn't too long ago that I actually heard this, that they were taking Pinhead off the roster as one of the playable killers. And I wonder if they did that because they're making this Hellraiser revival. It's kind of the same reason why, like, even though they got The Shape, and they got Freddy Krueger, and they got Michael Myers, or not Michael Myers, but Pinhead and Leatherface. Well, no, they didn't even have Leatherface on there. I don't think on Dead by Daylight, but they got other people.
Yeah, Leatherface is on Dead by Daylight.
Is he? I knew there was a character like Leatherface, but I couldn't remember if it was Leatherface.
And he's kind of like.
Oh yeah, he is on there. Yeah, because because you got the country music singer chick who's who's one of the survivors. That's right. You're right. Yeah. So they got all these guys. But the reason why they never got Jason was because they made the Friday the 13th game, and they didn't want him in two games. That it's late stage capitalism. We don't want your company making money off of him when we want to make our own game with him and make our money. You know what I'm saying? Instead of realizing that people will play both games, you'll both make money. Don't be retarded.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
So I'm wondering if that's why Pinhead got dropped. If they took Pinhead back because they're like, well, now we're making our game and we want people to focus on Pinhead in our game, not your game, type of thing. I don't know. That doesn't seem like good marketing to me. I feel like, in a weird sort of way, I feel like if you put Jason, for instance, in Dead by Daylight, or Pinhead in Dead by Daylight, or any of these characters in Dead by Daylight, you're going to make royalties off of it, for one. And two, it's advertisement for whatever you're going to do with that character anyways.
Right.
Yeah. You got people on Dead by Daylight playing Jason, and then you come out with a Friday the 13th themed game. You've already hyped them up in Dead by Daylight. All the Dead by Daylight fans are going to go out there and check that out, especially if they're, fans of Jason on Dead by Daylight. You would think, it's free advertising. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm not these corporate execs up there in this.
I think it kind of depends on how much one game has to offer over the other. You know what I mean? Because I feel like at least in the specific case of the Friday the 13th game, the gameplay is a lot like Dead by Daylight, except like dumbed down and kind of shittier, if you ask me. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
So you kind of create like a conflict of interest there in that it's essentially the same game. You know, so I understand why they wouldn't want to try to split the player base.
But at the
And
same
if
time,
you offer Jason Voorhees in Dead by Daylight, then more people are going to just be like, well, I'll just play Dead by Daylight.
But at the same time, you know, they had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, which is essentially just like Dead by Daylight. And people still played that for a while too. I mean, it finally died off because, you know, there wasn't enough to, you know, they didn't do enough to keep it going. But, you know, it was like Dead by Daylight. It added some more elements to it than what Dead by Daylight has. But it was, you know, basically the same thing. You're stuck in a map. You got killers coming after you, and you got to figure out a way to get out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that Friday the 13th game was fun for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't all that great of a game. So
this is just like a brand cash grab.
Well, yeah, it really was.
I didn't find the online play nearly as fun as I did playing like the movie sequences, I guess, as Jason. You know, where you like get to go through each movie and play that movie's version of Jason and figure out the best way to kill the characters in the scene. That was funner to me than like the actual online Dead by Daylight style portions of Friday the 13th game.
Yeah, and that's what I like about, you know, this new Halloween game that's coming out. I don't know the full details. I don't know if you're Jason or if you're, you know, like a survivor or whatever. But what I do know is it's not an online game. It's like an actual story campaign type game. And I think that's going to be a lot funner than to have like something like Dead by Daylight for Halloween. You know what I mean? Even though I did like Dead by Daylight before they started, you know, nerfing everything in the world in there. But I think that, you know, for me, story and campaign is a lot more fun than just playing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And so, I'm kind of looking forward to that Halloween. Halloween game. Halloween, yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of
see how it goes.
I'm kind of over.
But that's cool that they're making a Hellraiser game. I had no idea. That is awesome.
Yeah, and it's a single person, as far as I can tell, like survival horror game. And I'm kind of with you on that. I am kind of over like everything happening to be online. You know, everything has to be multiplayer now and yada yada yada. It's like I miss the days of like single player, story driven, you know, epic, you know, adventure games like that, you know, like I can
unlock things based upon skill and exploring rather than just microtransaction and then you have everything. Yeah,
and it's gotten to a point where you can't, like, there are certain games where you can't even access the solo options of the game without an internet connection. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, there's no offline play for it.
Well, because you will own nothing and love it, you know, and like it.
Well,
you will own nothing and like it.
It's like Call of Duty, okay? Call of Duty, you know, back in Call of Duty 2 days and Black Ops, stuff like that, you know, the first Modern Warfare, those were all really fun games to play multiplayer. You know, get on, play with your friends. Now Call of Duty multiplayer just absolutely sucks. It sucks. The only thing I play Call of Duty on now is I'll play zombies and I'll play the campaign. And then that's it. I don't even play the multiplayer because it sucks.
Well, you know, Battlefield just in general, after a lot of L's, has finally taken the #1 spot over Call of Duty. it has more sales, people enjoy it more and everything, and that's because they have fine-tuned what they've been doing over the years with, they've had a lot of misses, they've had a lot of hits, and they've just combined all of that to make a good game. I could tell you, when I realized you could play Snoop Dogg in Call of Duty, I said Call of Duty is going downhill. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't feel like a what I'm saying is it doesn't feel like a war game anymore. Yeah, exactly. It feels more like first person Fortnite. Just an FPS Fortnite now, In Fortnite, it makes sense. You can play Peter Griffin and all these other. Yeah, sure. Fortnite's nothing like it was originally intended to be. The crazy thing about Fortnite, I remember when Fortnite first dropped, it was supposed to be a zombie survival game. And
save the world.
And you could, but you played, you had the Battle Royale that they dropped that people could play and yada, 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 why they waited for Save the World to actually come out. But the Battle Royale proved to be so popular, they just shifted gears and kind of forgot about Save the World and did, and just went full tilt into the Battle Royale, which is fine. Whatever, that's whatever. But it makes, because based upon that strategy, it makes sense that you can play, Captain America or Iron Man or Peter Griffin or whoever in Fortnite, but not in a war game, not in not in a war game. And so it makes sense that people are kind of looking at Battlefield now and saying, this actually feels like a real war game. This actually feels like, even though you can do some pretty wild stuff in Battlefield, I mean, you can still do some pretty wild stuff. I've seen people, clip some pretty outrageous things that they've done on there, but there's a difference. Like, they just figured out how to do it and did it and pulled it off, as opposed to it being like, I called it an airstrike, but instead of it being an actual airstrike, it's a giant hunting knife that, what I'm saying? Like, what? What? Show me the evidence of when World War II, we dropped a giant hunting knife on the enemy. And you know what I'm saying? Like, when did that happen? Maybe I'm being a little too critical of it, but I mean, seriously, like it's become too commercial, and I hate that. I hate it when things get too commercial like that. It doesn't feel like that the original game. Now, to be honest, I haven't played a Call of Duty in a long time, but I think the last Call of Duty I played was the one where Soap gets killed. That was like the last Call of Duty I played. And that was the story mode. I don't even know if Call of Duty even has a story mode anymore.
It does. I haven't played it yet, but it does.
I just remember watching
that's what I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm really concerned about now is just the campaign. I don't care about the multiplayer stuff in it because it's just trash.
Yeah, I was watching
And if you're a listener and you're a Call of Duty fan, it's okay that you like it. We all have different likes, okay? So I'm not saying you're trash. I'm just saying that game isn't for me. If you enjoy Call of Duty, enjoy it. More power to you. Game on.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, yeah. I'm not necessarily bashing people who like to play Call of Duty. I'm just bashing Call of Duty.
Right.
Not everybody likes, whatever. Not everybody's looking at the Hellraiser game going, oh, I can't wait for this to come out. Some people are looking at that going, this looks disgusting and wrong. And you know what? You're right. It is disgusting and wrong. And that's why I'm there for it. That's why I'm going to play it, because I have to know, but yeah, I remember seeing my nephews playing it and they had a Snoop Dogg skin and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Well, I mean, that in general, I cannot think of a bigger waste of money than to buy skins for Call of Duty. Because it's a first-person shooter. It makes sense in Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? You see the skin all the time. You know what I mean? You see your little Captain America or they got Kim Kardashian on there. Kim Kardashian, Snoop Dogg, whoever it is that you bought. You can see your little character running around in that skin. In Call of Duty, you don't even see your skin. Other people see your skin, but you don't see your skin until, the very end when it shows, your accolades or whatever you got for that match. It just doesn't make any sense to me to buy a skin for Call of Duty. Just give me the default skin, dude. I don't care. I don't see it anyway. You know what I mean? I'm wasting money. If you really look at it and you get really down to logistics of it, you are spending money for somebody you don't even know, or maybe you do know them, if you're playing with your friends. But if you don't know them, somebody else's pleasure that you don't even know, because they're the ones who are seeing it. You're paying money out of your pocket for their eye candy.
Well,
does it make sense? That doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with you to an extent. Like, I don't think spending that much money on a skin you barely get to see makes any sense. However, when the Predator game came out, and it's a first-person shooter, it's like a first-person survival horror game. It was cool to get those skins and things like that for like cutscenes and stuff. It's cool to have your skins for like the cutscene type of things, but the amount of money you're spending on some of these skins is outrageous.
Yeah.
When, like you just said,
that's what I'm saying.
You're hardly getting to see them. Now I get the fact that like you're pretty much somebody else's eye candy, and so it's like if there's like an uber rare, like when the Snoop Dogg skin dropped, and people were spending that kind of money to get that Snoop Dogg. If you're playing against somebody who looks like Snoop Dogg, that person that looks like Snoop Dogg is having a flex right now. They're flexing. They're saying, "I got money. I can buy the Snoop Dogg deal." And so that makes kind of sense, but at the same time, it's like, but that kind of money for something, it's one of my biggest complaints about Cyberpunk 2077. I feel like not the money spending, but it's the idea that I feel like it was a missed opportunity not allowing the player to go into third person mode on Cyberpunk 2077 when you can make your character. You're not spending money for any of this. Every style and look you have on that game is earned through skill and accomplishment, and you can make yourself look really freaking cool, but you don't ever really get to see it. You don't really get to see it. So it's like, it's the same problem, only ass backwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not spending any money for this style in Cyberpunk, but I don't get to see it hardly. I got to ride around on a motorcycle just to see myself. I only wanted to drive motorcycles on that game so I could see myself. While on Call of Duty, you're spending a ton of money for a skin that not a ton of money, but a lot of money for a skin that, you're only going to get to see in like maybe a death cutscene or, in the lobby. And then the rest of the time, people just, everybody else gets to look at you and you're just kind of flexing.
Well, I think for like normal skins, like their own creative skins, it's like $30. And then for like, top notch skins, like for example, Snoop Dogg, I think it's like $50 for that skin, dude.
No way.
Why am I going to pay $50 for a skin I don't even see? And that's what Call of Duty does. Like, it's a first person shooter. You don't even see your skin. Fortnite, you see your skin. So you can justify spending 20, 30, 40, $50 because you have that skin and you get to see it, and you can, everybody else gets to see it, you get to see it, and it's, it's worth it. But Call of Duty, no, you see the hands, great. So Snoop Dogg's wearing gloves, cool. You know what I mean? It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Just dumb.
And what is it? Call of Duty?
People buy into it though, so whatever.
Call of Duty's like what, $60 or something, you know? So you spend $60 for the game.
Unless you got Game Pass and you can play it for free.
Right. But like, let's just say
everything that Microsoft owns is free on Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But like, let's just say you buy you're paying for Game Pass, and then you know, and then you buy this skin. I mean, for like $50, you're probably spending close to $100 for just you know, in a game that you don't even really own. If you're playing it on Game Pass, you don't even really own it. You know,
True.
that's like that's like renting a house and doing all these modifications to it, but you're renting it. You don't own that house.
So funny about that.
You can get evicted from that house at any moment. And what have you done? You've put crown molding around your wall. You just raised the property value of somebody else's property that they can kick you out of at any time they want. They could turn around and sell that house to somebody else, and that person now has the right to just kick you out, because that makes all the agreement you had with the previous owner null and void. You know?
But you know what's funny about that? When you were talking about the Game Pass, you don't actually own the games. I probably own more DLCs than I do games. Because on Game Pass, you know, you get the game, but you don't get the DLCs. But if the game's really good, you want to play that DLC. You know what I'm saying? So you spend the $20-$30 for the DLC. So I have DLCs for all these games, but I don't own the games that they go to. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it is what it is. Some of the games, though, I'll be like, man, that's a really good game, and I'll buy the game plus the DLC so I can, you know, continue to play it as much as I want. Unless it's a Microsoft-owned game, then I don't, you know, there's no reason to buy the game because it's always going to be on Game Pass. They don't ever take their stuff that's from Bethesda and Playground and stuff like that. They never take those off of Game Pass. Activision, it's always on Game Pass. So any Bethesda game that you want to play is going to be right there.
Which is crazy, because I heard Sony, and I could be getting this wrong because I heard this a while back, but I heard Sony purged a lot of their games from PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, well, Sony rotates their games. They rotate them.
It's like Disney.
Xbox just leaves theirs in there, and then they rotate the third parties, but they just leave theirs in there. And so far, it's working for them. And now, I mean, they raised the prices on it, which kind of sucks because they did what Sony did. They went to a tier system where before Game Pass used to be just you paid for Game Pass and you got, you know, selection of games or whatever. And then they did what Sony does now. They have the tiers. They have the ultimate, premium, and then the lowest one, whatever that is. And but for me, I was like, this sucks. But here's the thing that I paid for Fortnite Crew and Game Pass, right? Fortnite Crew was about $12 or whatever. Game Pass is, you know, was $20, something like that. Now Game Pass is $30 Ultimate, but Fortnite Crew comes with Game Pass. So I could cancel Fortnite Crew, and I'm basically just paying the same thing. Actually, I'm saving money by just paying the $30 to Game Pass.
Right.
Because I get Fortnite Crew with it. And I'm a Fortnite player, so it was worth it to me.
Well,
for others who don't play Fortnite, I don't know if they'll think it's worth it, but I do.
Well, what worries me about all of that is the fact that they're slowly phasing out like physical copies of games. You know, where like games can only now be purchased online through this, through that, you know. And I don't really like that. Because then it really doesn't feel like you actually own anything. Because if you don't own like a physical copy of said game, then who's to stop them from just getting into your system and saying, well, we no longer offer this game, and so blah blah blah, or let's just say like like, all media was doing, not just games, but all media was doing for a while. You don't have the correct opinions and views and values that we prescribe to. So now you're locked out of your stuff because we perceive how you feel being wrong, kind of like what Amazon did to that guy when he had that Amazon house. You know how Amazon did their Amazon homes for a while there, where like they, you could pay a subscription to Amazon and you could basically just walk into your house and be like, turn on my lights, turn on my refrigerator, blah, blah, blah. They monitored everything. Everything was like controlled, basically like you're on the SS Enterprise. You know what I'm saying? Lights, turn on my refrigerator, cool my refrigerator to this temperature type of thing. This guy, he made some kind of post on social media that they viewed as racist. And I never read the post, but from what I understand, like it wasn't really racist, but because, they viewed it as racist, they locked him out of his home because they controlled his security. So they locked him out of his home as punishment for his racist values. They're locking what he pays for that home. Like I get he pays you for that subscription. So you as a company have the right to, refuse service to a customer. You know what I'm saying? But he pays for that house. You don't have the right to lock him out of that house. What you have the right to do is say, we no longer will turn on your lights if you don't want to. You now have to do it manually. You want your refrigerator to run this certain way? You now have to do it manually. Everything you do now has to be done manually. Lock your own doors. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. You don't have the right, though, to just keep him out of his home because he pays for that home. He pays for the skeleton in which you function in, You don't want him to have your service, then don't give him your service, That's fine. And that's kind of what freaks me out about this whole digital media thing. Is because if it ever starts to get that way again and the crazies start to take over, once more, what's to stop them from just kicking you out of your own games? Being like, you don't have the right opinion, so you can't play your game now. It's like, I paid for that game. Too bad. Like there is a difference. There is a difference in that too. Like it's not like what I'm saying with Amazon and their what they provide in their, locking your door for you and this and that. You paid for the game. Once you pay for that game, that's your game. You shouldn't have to have an internet connection to play that game. You shouldn't have to have all these things to play that game. That game should just be yours, like in the physical copy days. But that's not the way they're doing it. And that really freaks me out. The fact that they do things like that. I don't like that, that mentality. You will own nothing and like it,
Also, too, if you say you bought a bunch of games, like, okay, for example, I have games that I actually own digitally, at least $300 games. And what happens if I do something on my account and I get banned from my account? Then I just lose all those games.
Exactly.
All those games are gone.
Exactly. Like that ain't right. Like that ain't right. I get it.
So I feel like if they're going to do stuff like that, they need to put an agreement. Okay, we can ban your account, but you're not going to lose all your games. That you can get another account or whatever, but you're not going to lose all your games, or we'll monetarily give you the money back for it. That's the only way that I think that could work, because that's ridiculous. If you spend all that money and then, like you said, you say something that they don't necessarily agree with that isn't wrong. Racism, I get it. You know what I mean? You don't need to be saying the N-word and stuff like that on whatchamacallit.
That's why there's
some other things.
That's why there's a mute option, though. That's why there's a mute option.
True.
You don't like listening to it? Mute the person. Mute them. You don't, that's why there's a mute option.
True,
so.
But, at the same time, you know, I just don't feel like they should be able to just ban you from your like a lifetime ban. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
And you know, I don't.
I don't agree with banning because I mean it's just a game. It's not like they can physically hurt you. It's just words. And while I'm not saying racism is okay, I'm not saying that at all. You know what I'm saying is the person paid for that game, right? And in this country, now, you know, other countries, whatever, you know, but in this country, we have the freedom of speech, and it's just words. It's just words. You know, I cannot physically harm you with words, you know, like that. So what you do is the mute option, like they have on Call of Duty. You know, you don't like what somebody's saying, they're saying racist or sexist or whatever things that, you know, I mean, maybe they're really not, you know, maybe you just perceive it that way because you're fragile, whatever, you know, or maybe they are being overly gratuitous. Who knows? Mute them. You don't have to listen to them, you know, just mute them. And then play the game. And then just play the game. You know? That's it.
I mean, that's what I do. If somebody starts to annoy me, I just
just mute them. That's all you have to do. Like I don't agree with banning people because that's, you know, that's taking away freedom from people who, you know, and who gets to decide that, you know, who watches the Watchmen,
right?
You know, who gets to actually perceive what you're actually saying is racist. Like there are some things that you can say are just downright racist and everybody could agree that that's racist. You know, that is racist. But there are sometimes people get called racist when they're just being honest, you know, or they're called sexist because they're just being honest, you know, about a situation, you know, they're not even really trying to be hateful. They're just saying, well, that it just seems like, you know, this is the way it is, you know, they're not actually saying anything racist. Maybe they're just saying statistics, you know, they're just like, well, no, statistically, it's actually this way. So I don't know where you're coming from. Oh, you're just saying that because you're racist. No, I'm saying that because that's what the statistics say. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're wanting to ignore facts and then they get called racist and now they're banned for it. That's not right. You're, you know, you're taking away freedom of speech. No, you just mute them. Just mute them. Because, I mean, you don't have to sit there and listen to it. Nobody's forcing you to. You have the freedom to mute. So that, you know, it's a fine line people walk with this whole idea of freedom of speech. You know, if you believe in freedom of speech, then, you know, then preserve it. And do things like, you know, giving people the option to mute. You know, you're on social media. Nobody forces you, man, to go to, you know, like say like you're on X or Facebook. Nobody's forcing you to go to people's posts that you don't agree with. Right. Nobody's forcing you to, you know, you can easily filter all that stuff out where you get to live inside an echo chamber. You know, that nobody's forcing you to do that stuff, you know? So, you know what I mean? But just be prepared. If you're going to say something or do something, expect that there are people who live to give pushback on whatever you say. Maybe what you're saying isn't necessarily wrong, but there are people who live to give pushback on that. So be prepared. You know, if you're going to have an opinion or a value, expect that there are people in this world who disagree with that and just be ready to deal with it, you know?
Well, not everybody's going to agree with everything anyway. Exactly.
So if you cannot handle the fact that there are people who disagree with you in this world, then keep your mouth shut. But if you really believe in what, but if you really believe in what you believe in, then be prepared, you know, be prepared to defend it. You know, and that's just life, man. That's just life. You know, I do this on a regular basis. People don't agree with me all the time. I get attacked all the time on the internet, and I just, you know, I just go with it. I roll with it, and I respond. I deal with it. You know, doesn't hurt my feelings.
For sure.
I like the fact that I don't live in an echo chamber. I like the fact that there are people out there who disagree with me because, you know, every once in a while you might run into somebody who actually says something insightful and you're like, huh, that's actually an interesting thought. I'm going to think on that. Perhaps I'm wrong. I mean, lo and behold, you know, you may not even be right. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Valid.
But you'll never know. You'll never know if you don't, you know, if all you do is live inside an echo chamber. So, but yeah, we're drifting too far away from gaming. So, and Android hasn't said anything in a hot minute. So,
yeah, I'm just listening.
Yeah, he's just taking it all in. So, okay. So to get us back to gaming, I'm going to circle back now and tell you guys an interesting story that I heard not too long ago. And I promise you that it will lead to a game. And it's kind of topical because, you know, we've got a game in this franchise coming up real soon and everybody's been talking about it. And, you know, so you know the movie Friday, right? Ice Cube back in the 90s made a movie called Friday, and it was
right.
It's phenomenal. It's a great movie. I love that movie, Friday. And it actually created a beef between Ice Cube and Cypress Hill. Because
Friday did?
Yeah, because Be Real used to hang out with Ice Cube. He was, before he started Cypress Hill, he was like one of like the you know, I don't even know what you call them in rap music, but like one of the hype men. You know how like rappers will get like people in their group who jump on the track and like sing the backups and do the, you know what I'm saying? Be Real was a hype man for Ice Cube. And then him and Ice Cube had a good long-standing friendship. And then Be Real went off to make Cypress Hill, and him and Ice Cube stayed pretty tight. They okay. Now I can't remember the name of the song, so hold on. What song? So I'm just gonna Google this real quick. Real quick, let's see. What was the name of that song? Okay, yeah. So, you know the song Throw Your Set in the Air? Right? Ice Cube, so what Ice Cube wanted a track from Cypress Hill for Friday, right? And Cypress Hill went and did a track for the movie Friday, right? Well, they also had another track that they were going to release for their new album that Ice Cube wanted to use for Friday. And if I'm seeing this correctly, if I'm understanding this correctly, Ice Cube wanted the Cypress Hill song Throw Your Set in the Air for the Friday movie. But Cypress Hill said, no, this song is going to be on our new album and we want to use it to promote our new album. Well, Ice Cube has a song. So what's Ice Cube heard the song Throw Your Set in the Air. So he made a song for the soundtrack to Friday where he's talking about throwing your set in the air. And it is real similar to Cypress Hill's Throw Your Set in the Air.
Okay.
And that created a huge beef between Ice Cube and Cypress Hill. They were they were making like entire tracks going at one another. You know what I'm saying? Cypress Hill had a song called No Rest for the Wicked and Ice Cube Killa, while, you know, Ice Cube and West Side Connection had King of the Hill released the song King of the Hill. You know what I mean? Like they were battling back and forth about this, right? Like, now I need to get this guy's name down correctly. So I get this exactly correct. Okay. There was Franklin, right? In GTA 5. Okay. So, and let me make sure that, yeah, that's him. Okay. Sean Fontano plays the voice of Franklin in GTA 5. Sean Fontano was also friends with Cypress Hill. And during all that beef at that time, Sean Fontano walked up to Ice Cube and knocked him clean out. Caught him on the streets, went out there and knocked him out. And you can find pictures of him with Ice Cube's chain. He took that chain from Ice Cube. Sean Fontano became the voice actor for for Franklin on GTA 5. And so GTA 5 literally has a character whose voice actor knocked out Ice Cube back in the 90s in a beef. So like, so Rockstar didn't just go get they didn't just say, okay, we're going to make Franklin black. Let's just go get us a black voice actor. You know what I'm saying? They really went and got themselves a hood dude, a dude from the hood. You know what I mean? He was a rapper too, you know, he rapped and everything, you know, who is legendarily known for cleaning Ice Cube's clock and taking Ice Cube's chain. There is pictures of him like holding up Ice Cube's chain, like, and the way he described it in the interview he had with him, he was talking about, he's like, I see him on the street, I walk over, I handle it, and his chain ended up in my hand. I don't know how it got in there, but his chain's just in my hand all of a sudden, and you know, and they like they wore it to like shows and all sorts of stuff. Like they have pictures of it.
It's like a trophy.
Yeah. Yes. Precisely. Like he wore it to shows. He showed it on pictures. Like he had that chain. And I just think I heard that story and I found it so fascinating with GTA 6 like on the way. You know what I mean? That Rockstar, that Rockstar did their research and said, okay, who could we get to play Franklin? And they're like, let's go get the guy who knocked out Ice Cube. Let's go get the guy who knocked out Ice Cube. It will be whatever he does in that game will be believable because we know.
What a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I mean, I love Rockstar, man. Like they just, you know, they've always kind of had that crazy what you call woke messaging, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like that's fine because they've never like just been radical about it. They've always just kind of, you know, and at times it almost feels like they're making fun of it too, you know what I mean? But
yeah, they're kind of like Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah, they're just kind of like in the middle about a lot of things. And I just love the fact that, you know, that had to have occurred to them, you know, and I don't know, like, who's to say? Maybe they thought of it on their own. They're like, yeah, let's do that. You know, let's get him because he knocked out Ice Cube and that'll be cool. Or they just said, you know, or they had it out there and for tryouts, and Sean Fantano showed up and was like, yeah, I'd like to try out for Franklin. And they looked at him, and one of them knew who he was and said, yes. And he's like, well, I haven't said anything yet. And they're like, no, you don't have to. Yes. You knocked out Ice Cube, like, yes, the answer is yes. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Of course you get to be in this. Who else
That's
would
crazy.
we? Who else would we pick for Franklin? And yeah, so I heard that and I was just dying. I watched maybe a 20-minute, close to 30-minute video, just history on the beef between Ice Cube and Cypress Hill, and I didn't even know where it was going to go. I just saw the thumbnail on YouTube, and I was like, I didn't know Ice Cube and Cypress Hill beefed. I didn't know any of that, and I watched it, and it led into that GTA, and I said, "Oh my god!" I said, "No freaking way, bro!" And they make jokes about it in the game, like they're one of them, like somebody's yelling at somebody, and he just turns around and says, "What? Who you messing with? This? Don't you know I'm loco?" I'm like, yes. I'm like, they leaned into that. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get him because that, we all the memes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yes. So I'm kind of excited to see what they're gonna do with GTA 6 now. There's a quirky little fan
if
theory.
the leaks are any indication, that's going to be a really cool game.
There's a quirky little fan theory that, because I guess the main character is like this guy and this girl, right? Like this boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. And people are like taking photos of the two characters. I don't know their names, but the guy and the girl that are going to be in GTA 6, and they're matching them up to Arthur Morgan and what's her face, and saying this right here, what they're low key going to do is to connect the two worlds, because so far the theory is that, Red Dead Redemption does exist in the Grand Theft Auto universe, but it exists as a book. It's actually just a book. It's a story you can buy. You know what I mean? That it never actually really happened. It's just a book. But the fan theory so far is that no, they're low key get a hint that the two main characters of Grand Theft Auto 6 are a reincarnation of Arthur Morgan and the and I can't even remember her name in that game now. But the lady that he's like in love with, that whenever she comes around, he drops everything to go help her.
Mary?
Maybe. Yeah, I think it is Mary. I think you're right. Yeah. That they're low key a reincarnation of Mary and Arthur. And like the idea is that they've reincarnated and somehow found each other again through time, and that this story is going to be, is going to have like hints towards that somehow, which I think would just be wild. I'm not saying Grand Theft Auto is known for its uber realism, but it's not like it was Saints Row either. You know what I mean? Like, it's not completely like out of pocket in its suspension of disbelief. It has
there's no aliens everywhere.
Yeah, and things like that. Yeah, it's got some wild stuff, but it tries to exist within just like a more bent realism, So this would definitely put like a crazy supernatural element to the Grand Theft Auto series, if that's true. If this theory is correct, that would be crazy to for them to acknowledge Red Dead in such a way. As to
Yeah, it would be. That would be interesting. Yeah, for sure.
I would appreciate it because I like Rockstar, but I don't think they've given enough love to to Red Dead. You know, they have not given nearly enough love to Red Dead Redemption. Like they kind of dropped it and put all their efforts into Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's online and all of that. And you know, hot take,
because they rotate. They do Grand Theft Auto, then they do Red Dead, then they do Grand Theft Auto, then they do Red Dead.
Yeah, but
because they did RDR.
It's been a while since
GTA,
they've done anything significant for Red Dead.
They did GTA 5, and then they did RDR 2, and now they're doing GTA 6.
Yeah, but like, look at what they did with like Red Dead's online and stuff like that. They just kind of dropped Red Dead like really hard, and they focused on
Red Dead Online sucked,
and they just focused really hard on Grand Theft Auto and everything. And you know, I'm even just like the server online forums you can get into playing it online, where it's technically like a Gary's mod. You know what I mean? It's basically just Gary's mod, just on Red Dead or Grand Theft Auto and stuff. I'm not saying like one player base is better than the other, because if you ever watch like troll videos of the guys who get in there and troll these guys, both groups have like serious problems. You know what I mean? The biggest problem I see with the Red Dead Online community in those different servers is the idea that they really want to get in there. They want to play cowboys. They want to do the Wild West, but they completely ignore. You know, they get after you for not being, for not RPing and yada yada yada, but they completely ignore the times. They completely ignore the time frames. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is just ridiculous. It is just, there's too many white knights on there. It is just, in both communities, for one, there's just too many white knights. But also in the 5M community, the Grand Theft Auto community, they all just want to sit on there and treat it like it's real life. And it is so weird. It is so weird. These people get on there and they log in for like 19 hours straight, and they're just working like jobs. They're getting on there and they're working jobs. But if you like steal a car, all of a sudden the moderators are like banning you, and it's like, yes, I'm in trouble for stealing a car in a game like called Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
You hit somebody with a car, and they're like, oh no, you can't, VDM, vehicle deathmatch. You can't VDM me. That you just killed me with a car. You can't do that. I'm calling a mod. And it's like, you're right. I just hit you with a car in a game called Grand Theft Auto. Like none of it makes any dang sense to me. So like, to all you trolls out there who are getting into these different servers and trolling these people, you're doing God's work. I want you to know right now, you are doing God's work, because you give me hours. When I have nothing else to watch, you give me hours of entertainment watching you guys aggravate these people who need to go outside and touch grass. I
actually have a friend who plays on those real life GTA things, and his name is literally Joker. Not in real life, but in the game.
Yeah.
And he literally dresses up like the Joker and acts like the Joker on those servers.
Very good. Very good. Because that's what,
it is super cool.
Because that guy. Yeah. Because that, I guarantee you that upsets people, because they're like, no, you know what I mean? It's they have a rule on there. It's so funny. They have a rule on there. You have to value your life. So if somebody gets out and tries to rob you with a gun, you have to instantly let them rob you, right? Because you have to value your life. And I'm thinking to myself, well, and in fact, one of the trolls, Bub Games, right? he instantly got into trouble when he went into one of those servers because he's brand new, what they call fresh off the plane, right? In their terminology there. He's fresh off the plane. He's walking down the street and like a car of people just stop. 3 people jump out. They're holding him up and everything. And he goes, they're like, put your hands up. And he goes, no. They're like, put your hands up. Are you not valuing your life? And he goes, I mean, I'm just not going to put my hands up. And then he jumps off of a bridge to get away from them. Well, it turns out that one of them is a moderator. And so she's like pulling him aside and being like, you're getting a warning and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, so he's like, so what am I in trouble for? And she's like, you're not valuing your life. And he goes, oh, so you mean to tell me there's nobody in existence who you can put a gun to their face and they'll just be like, no. No, it's not. He's like, maybe it's not about valuing your life as much as you just don't care. You're like, I'm not giving it to you willingly. You know what I mean? You're going to have to shoot me. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, you wouldn't jump off a bridge. And he goes, I didn't die. He goes, it didn't kill me.
I got away.
Yeah. He's
I would have been like, you're just mad that I got away.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what he pointed out. He's like, you're a moderator and you're just kind of using this game as your little playground, aren't you? You know what I mean? Like, it is so funny. And that, you know, did you ever see that movie, True Romance, with Christian Slater and Arquette and Christopher Walken? Mm-hmm. There's a scene in that movie where the guys are these guys try to hold up Christopher Walken. They're like, put your hands up. And he's like, no. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, put your hands up. I got a gun to you. And he's like, I don't care. They're like, you're supposed to be afraid. And he's like, this is too bad. You know what I mean? Like, there are people in existence who, you know, their pulse ain't going to break 70. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. They just do not care. And the idea that you make these rules in games like that, so as to control it's like, no, what you should do is just make a rule where if you die in your character, your character's gone. You have to start a new character. And watch how people start really playing it like it's real life. Everybody will rethink their decisions. You know, that's really how you do it. You want to make it more realistic? That's how you do it. You get one life with that character. Plain and simple. You know?
Yeah. Make it, if you're going to make it realistic, make it realistic.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, fair enough.
And with the Red Dead Redemption deal, be like, yeah, the same thing. Like, you're going to live how those people lived back in those days. You know what I mean? You're going to live how those people lived back in those days. You cannot get banned and I'm not saying this is okay to do, but like, you get banned on most of those Red Dead Redemption servers for killing a dog. It's like, are you kidding me? Dog? People used to eat dogs back in the day. Like, don't sit there and be like, dogs didn't hurt anything. These people obviously never watched Little House on the Prairie. You know, which is, and I know that's a television show, but Little House on the Prairie is a television show based upon a book series based upon that girl's real life.
Where they famously eat the little blind girl.
Yeah. Well, there is an episode. There is an episode where all the kids in that get trapped because a pack of wild dogs, not wolves, not coyote, domesticated dog, but they're wild. A pack of them chase them into the barn and almost kill them. And that's a book written based upon that girl's real life. So that really happened to her. And this is in the 1800s. So don't tell me that me killing a dog in Red Dead Redemption means I'm being cruel to animals when people knew that a dog that nobody owns could easily kill you in those days. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like today where we've domesticated these animals to the point, and quite frankly, if I'm walking down the street and I see a pit bull or a Rottweiler or even a German Shepherd that doesn't look like it's got a home, a family, and has been out there for a couple of days years on its own, I'm just going to be like, oh, well, it's domesticated. You know what I mean? No, it could be dangerous. That could be a dangerous dog, even by today's standards. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
True.
I hate to tell these people there was no such thing as PETA in the 1800s. You know, so to all you trolls out there, you're doing God's work, reminding these people that, you know, modern sensibilities don't work in video games like that. Like, they just don't. You know, you want to make it realistic, you give everybody one life. If you die, you got to start a new character. Watch how quickly everybody starts using common sense. You know?
Valid.
Yeah, people aren't gonna act stupid no more. You know? And maybe they'll, you know, start rethinking how they talk to one another, you know? The whole point of the game, the whole point of those things is to RP, and half them trolls only get in trouble because they come up with RP scenarios that, yes, while they're not conventional, they're still RP scenarios. And, you know, these people are just using these games to escape real life. And so they don't want to be bothered. But you're in an RP game, so RP. That's like playing D&D, but saying, but before we play D&D, let's unpack your childhood. Let's all just stand around and unpack your childhood. Don't mind the goblins. You know what I mean?
Right.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
Goofy people, man. Goofy people in this world. But yeah, somehow Ice Cube getting knocked out by Franklin led us to
very interesting.
GTARP.
Yeah. It is. Like, the truth is sometimes stranger than the fiction. How, like, things are just connected like that. You know what I mean? It's like when I heard about Michael Jackson, like, beating up Tupac Shakur. I was like, I can't believe that. But it's true. You know? Michael Jackson he didn't knock him out, but he almost knocked out Tupac Shakur, you know? They called Michael Jackson Hands Jackson on the street. Because when he was a little kid, you know, his dad made, like, if the brothers got into arguments or fights, the dad, instead of settling it, would just have them get in there and fight. And whoever won the fight, that was the one that was right. So Michael Jackson learned footwork so he could fight better. So all that dancing he can do came from his boxing training because he didn't want to be wrong. And one night he's coming out of the club, and Tupac Shakur was dating Quincy Jones's daughter at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones obviously were real close friends, you know, because Motown and, you know, Quincy Jones got Michael Jackson started in his solo career, you know, Rock With You and all that, you know.
Well, yeah, he had a big deal with Thriller.
Yeah, exactly. So Quincy Jones's daughter, her and Michael were so close, she called him Uncle Mike, you know. And they're coming out of a club, and, you know, Tupac was known for being a passionate man. And he's yelling at her. And Michael Jackson just happened to be coming out of that same club or going into the club. I can't remember which one it was. But he saw that, and, you know, that's his niece, basically. So he's like, Yo Pac. Although it isn't Yo Pac. You know, it's Yo Pac, because apparently Michael Jackson could actually talk like a full-grown man. You know what I mean? The whole voice like that was all just an act. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, Yo Pac, you know, and Tupac's like, who's that calling my name? And he turns around and sees that it's Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson's like, don't be talking to her like that. Tupac's like, no, I don't think so, man. I'm Tupac. And that's when Tupac's men grab him and they're like, nah, don't mess with him, man. You know who that is? And Tupac's like, I don't care who that is. I don't care who that is. And they're like, that's Hans Jackson. And he's like, no, he ain't hearing it. And so he goes over there to step to Michael Jackson. And they said that Michael Jackson, just pieced him out, just hit him so fast, Tupac didn't even see it coming. Like, before Tupac even had a chance to even raise his hands, Michael just boom. I mean, just laid a combo on him like he had, and after he did that, both Michael Jackson's people and Tupac's people are pulling them apart. One, because they don't want Tupac to get embarrassed and headlines to hit that Tupac, the gangster rapper, just got knocked out by the king of pop. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson's people are grabbing him because they don't want him to lose that squeaky clean image. Like, what are you even doing here at this nightclub type of thing? You know what I mean? Why are you in a fight with Tupac Shakur? You're Michael Jackson. You did a music video with Macaulay Culkin, type of thing. So one was to keep Tupac from getting embarrassed. The other was to uphold Michael Jackson's image. But Michael Jackson, I mean, whooped him. Like, Tupac had no chance. You know what I'm saying? And they don't even tell Tupac that that's Michael Jackson. They didn't call him Michael Jackson. They said, that's Hans Jackson. That's what he was known in some circles as. Because people had seen him do this. Yeah, people had seen him do this before. You know what I mean? Like, Michael Jackson was notoriously known for going out, like, every time he'd go out, if he saw people being disrespected, or bullied, he would stand up for him and say, you knock that off. You're not going to do that. And then if he got pushback, he'd clean their clock. And so he became, some people speculate that song Human Nature by Michael Jackson, that why you hear that song's about like people not wanting him to go out and experience the city, basically. But he wants to go out and experience the city, There are people who theorize that that's what that song is low key actually about, is the fact that people started trying to keep him in all the time because he did not abide, but because he had this image, he had to keep. They didn't want him being known as the king of pop, who, was Hans Jackson. Like, they wanted him to remain, and so they'd ask him why, and he'd just be like, it's human nature, man. I won't abide. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't abide. There's theories that that's what that song is truly about.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some of my just I hadn't planned on talking about Hans Jackson tonight. Hadn't planned on it. I wanted to tell the Ice Cube and Cypress Hill story, but somehow we got into the Michael Jackson, being Hans Jackson, But there's a lot about Michael Jackson that people are finding out now, years after he's died, of like the kind of man he really was, You know what I mean? They have a phone call from him calling one of his ex-producers, telling him, I'm going to be dead soon because I can't keep these people's secrets anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, he knew all them people like Epstein and everything like that, but apparently he was not about that life, And there's theory that like that's why he was hanging out with little kids all the time so much, is because he was actually trying to protect them, because he actually knew how to throw hands, so it wasn't like anything to him to smack somebody in the mouth. And that he actually low key had a really bad temper, like his dad.
Yeah, and that movie coming out soon too. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing what they do with that. If they'll tell the
It's
real
a Michael Jackson movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
About his life, yeah. Comes out
That does sound interesting.
I want to say April 18th or April 19th. It's somewhere around my birthday.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to tell the actual truth of that, or if they're going to.
Well, they got to clear it with his estate. And his estate is very serious about telling the truth about Michael.
Yeah.
So I imagine they will. His sisters, especially Janet and what's her name, Latoya. They're both very, very firm on telling the truth about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
They do not let anything go. If somebody says something that's untrue about him, they're both on, sounding off. That's not true. That's not true. So I don't imagine they would allow that movie unless they were telling the truth. Or we would have already heard about them saying, don't go see this movie if you're a Michael Jackson fan because it's not true.
Right. Right.
Because, it's just a couple months away. So by now,
Yeah.
they would have said something. So I think it'll be, I don't know if they'll go into all that, which you were talking about, but.
Oh, I wish they would. I would love to see a movie where they portray Michael Jackson knocking out Tupac. I would love that so much because I got nothing against Tupac. Dude was crazy. You know what I'm saying? He was crazy. He had his moments. Him and Snoop Dogg ended up in jail, right? In like in New York or something like that. And this was during the height of that beef. And Tupac, Tupac had said some things about Mobb Deep and Biggie, of course, and Nas, Him and Snoop Dogg ended up in jail. It's just them two, and they're in general population JP, or yeah. And they yeah, but
GP.
GP. And they end up in there and Nas is in there. And he's got his crew with him. This is his area. They're behind. Tupac and Snoop Dogg are behind enemy lines. And I heard Snoop Dogg tell this story. And Snoop Dogg's like, yeah, we're in there. And Nas comes walking up to us. He's got his whole crew. It's just me and Pac. And he's got his whole crew with him. All them guys up in there. They know him. They respect him. They work for him when he's in there. And he comes walking up to Pac and he's just like, I heard that, I heard those tracks that you're using to diss me and all this you've been talking and yada, 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 and he's like, so what now? And he's like, and Pac just looked him and his whole crew dead in the eye. And he said, well, you got a problem with it. Come get some mother. You know what I mean? And just, he's like on hood, let's do this. And I'm sitting there and Snoop Dogg's like,
he was trained by like former Black Panthers and shit, like he had militant training.
Yeah,
his mom, Anthony, was really deep into Black Panthers, real deep into Black Panthers.
Well, that's partly why he got the name Tupac Shakur. Yeah, because like something about some kind of king or some kind of militant leader or something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like from Peru.
Yeah, so
or something like that.
Yeah, so he's like sitting there and Snoop's like, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, we're gonna die. He's he's like, but Nas just looked at Pac and was like, nah, that's cool, man. Whatever. We're chill. Just be chill while you're in here, and Pac's like, whatever, and he was, but like he was not, you know what I'm saying? Like he was not, so like, that's what I'm saying. Like Pac, it's not like I have no respect for him. It's just, again, going back to the idea of truth being stranger than the fiction. And like you guys just said, he was trained by militant people in the Black Panthers and this and that, yada, yada, yada. And for him to go up and get pieced out by Michael Jackson. tells you something like knowing this story now, you'll never watch Michael Jackson dance the same way again. Because they said to watch him box was like to watch him dance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those movements he's got for dancing actually came from boxing. Like, like he, all that fancy footwork, the way he could glide around, and just move like he's on air, bam, there it is. Yeah. So it's just crazy. So yeah, I would love to see a movie where Michael Jackson just where we get to see Hans Jackson. That's the movie they need to make. Forget this other movie. Make Hans Jackson the movie. I want to see a movie where Michael Jackson just beats people's ass like left and right. He's just out there doing the vigilante work, and his producers and record label and everybody's losing their mind because they're like, "You're supposed to be for the children, Mike. You can't be out here just wrecking people all day." I would love that.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That
would be a light that not many have seen him in.
That would be movie of the year in my mind. Michael Jackson is Hans Jackson.
Crazy.
Oh man. Yeah, I would love it.
So, what has everybody been playing lately? Anything?
I've been playing a lot of free games.
Yeah, I've been replaying Dark Souls 1.
Dark Souls 1 and free. What free games have you been playing?
I've been doing videos. I'm getting back into my YouTube real heavy again, and I've started up my playlist of free games that deserve attention. I pretty much got like a whole season's worth of free games and did that in like a block video where I just did all of that and just called it season 1. And I basically started season 2, and I got contacted by developers Filthy Eden to which, shout out to my boys at Filthy Eden. You guys are great. Mm-hmm. But they're Italian developers, and they made a game called Cucina Stellata, which translates to Starred Cuisine. And it's a horror game, and boy, it is something else, man. Like it is, and I made the review for that, and it's kind of original. Like it's got themes that are similar to other games that I've played, but honestly, like at the end of the day, it's really original in its idea and plot and this and that, and it's got really good writing. I played that and did a review on that, and then I made another review for another free game called Liminal Gallery, made by Ken Forrest, and that was really fun. That game really, it's linear in the sense where there's one way in, one way out. Like what your objective is in every single scenario. Where you got to get to. It's just how you get there can vary depending on like how you go about it. It's all about manipulating time space kind of, and I really liked that game, even though it really, really pissed me off at times. I don't really look at that as a negative for that game, because even though like I said, it pissed me off, it helped me think outside the box and figure out how to do some of these things. And so it's pretty good. But I have both those games posted now on the channel under the playlist free games that deserve attention. And I just got done playing a game called Detective by a guy named Vuk Dobrik, who I've done a review for in the past, and I've talked to him before as well. So I'm currently working on that one. I haven't played Where Winds Meet in a minute. I know I was like spun off on that game for a hot minute, but I just I still like it. I've got no complaints about it. It's done nothing to make me not want to play it. It's just I'm just kind of that way, you know.
Right.
When it starts feeling like something is taking up all of my when it starts feeling like something's taking up all of my time, and I start to feel like I've got to log in, I've got to keep up, I've got to, you know how these games do, these online games do. I, I'm not, if I'm going to be a part of the never ending story, I want it to be a part of my never ending story. I don't want to be a part of somebody else's. You know what I'm saying? So there's that, I just don't want it to start feeling like a job that I'm clocking into,
Right. Yeah. I get that.
So
I haven't played much of it either.
You've been playing Dark Souls?
You said you're playing Dark Souls again?
Yeah, replaying the first one, just seeing if I could still do it. You know what I mean?
See, I did not like the first Dark Souls.
Oh, it's so jank. I love it.
I did not like it at all. And that's fine, but I didn't like it. And it's not, everybody says get good or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that it's just clunky controlling. It's just clunky. And I do not like clunky games. I do not like it. So I didn't get into it. I didn't like it. But if you like it, that's fine. I know there's a lot of people, there's diehards that love that game. That one just was not for me.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I love it though.
Well,
where are you at on it?
I actually have gotten pretty good and wrist deep into it. I have this like strat that I employ, right?
Mm-hmm.
The early areas of the game are pretty easy for me. You know what I mean? I can just kind of breeze through it. But when you're going down to ring the second bell tower, you got to go through this area called Blighttown, and it is famously nightmarish, right? It's kind of one of those areas where it's kind of like if you didn't quit the game up to this point, you'll probably quit the game at this point.
At that point.
You'll probably quit the game at this point because it's an area that's just full of fucking poison. And there's a debuff that's one step further from poison called toxin. And it is just nightmarish, Well, I have this strategy that I employ. I go all the way down through the depths up to the doors of Blighttown, right? And then I turn around and walk all the way back to Firelink Shrine because you don't unlock the teleport until after Anor Londo, So you got to walk everywhere at the beginning, and this is kind of a long trek. So I do it for the XP, right? I'll go down, fight the gaping dragon, get all my XP and stuff. Then I'll turn around and make the long walk back to Firelink Shrine. At that point, since I picked the Master Key as my starting item, I'll go down into the back door of Blighttown because there's a shortcut to get out, right? To come back up to Firelink Shrine. So you can open that door with the Master Key. And you go down there, open that door, and you can go right in the back door of Blighttown, skip the entire fucking area, be at the bottom, go fight the boss. You know
Nice.
I mean? There's no like boss in between that I can remember. It's all just going through the area of Blighttown, and who wants to do that?
Right.
Just go in the back door, go down and fight the boss.
be done with it. And that's kind of at the point that I'm nearing. I haven't fought the gaping dragon yet, but I'm right down there in the depths to do it.
Is that the final boss or whatever?
No.
No.
It's kind of like this is still very early game Dark Souls 1, honestly.
Oh,
After
okay.
you ring the 2 bell towers, you're kind of reaching the real game, if that makes sense. Like after you do that, it'll take you to or you go to Sten's Fortress, and then you'll hit Anarlondo. And after you beat Ornstein and Smog, you got to take the Lord Vessel back to Firelink Shrine and put it down in the fucking I forget what they call it, but like Hall of Lords or something like that. You'll set down the Lord Vessel, and then you'll go on about your business, trying to gather the shards of the Lord souls to bring back to the Lord Vessel, and then you can fight the final boss. And that makes it
Okay.
sound really simple, but
No, it's
there
not.
are a lot of steps involved in obtaining each of the Lord souls.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say there's nothing really all that simple in that game at all.
Yeah, that's oversimplifying it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got you. I got you.
Well, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I think
It's just a
say,
that's
matter
one
of
of the
seeing if
things
I can
that
still do it.
I think that's one of the things that these new gen systems have really done is make games like the Dark Souls series and Bloodborne, Elden Ring, stuff like that a lot more enjoyable because the gameplay mechanics are more smooth. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
for
It's
sure.
not there's not that clunky movement that drives me crazy. And for
Yeah,
me, it's like if I'm not having fun, there's no reason for me to play the game.
yeah. It's a rage-inducing game. Sometimes it feels like if you're on a good roll, you know what I mean, where you haven't died in a while, the game
Mhm.
will pull out something just fucking random and trash to kill you real quick. You know what I mean?
Right,
Be
right.
like, well,
Elden Ring does
you've
that a
forgotten
lot
what
too.
kind of game you're playing.
yeah.
Yeah, Elden Ring does that,
Yeah,
especially when you're farming for the, experience or whatever it is.
right.
The souls, basically the souls. If
And
you're
it's like
farming and then
that was
you get all
huge. It's
those
like
up and then they throw in that kink just out of nowhere. It's like you're a dick. Plain and simple. You're a dick for doing that.
yeah,
Well, you just got to
yes.
remember. You just got to remember. Tough times never lasts.
Yeah,
Only tough people lasts.
that's right.
You know? No, my favorite out of that is and hot take, but my favorite out of that is Bloodborne. I feel like Bloodborne because I played, Dark Souls, I played Elden Ring, but I feel like Bloodborne out of all of them has the most exquisite movement in the game.
Oh yeah.
Because of the way you it's not about blocking. It's all about, and it is about the dodge, but the way you dodge, it feels more like a dance.
Your quick step.
Yeah, it feels like a dance. It feels like it's not a roll. It's just I don't know. They zig, you got to know how to zag. It's a
I don't
tango.
feel like that's as much of a hot take as you think it is. There's a great big huge fan base for Bloodborne.
Oh yeah. There's a major fan base for Bloodborne.
I
People
love
are
it.
dying for Bloodborne too.
I love it. And
Yeah.
it's not like it's good to me. It's not a good game to me. It doesn't treat me right. It's I pull down my pants and it laughs at me, but I keep coming back to it
Yes.
because it's the only one I can afford.
Yeah.
Souls games don't treat you right.
Yeah. No, but I love it. I love that game. So I haven't played it in a while. I'd be interested in playing it again to see if I still got it. Although I say that knowing full well I never had it. So
You gotta get put back into that mode, and it takes a minute to get put back into that mode to get back into the.
Well,
everything has got to be precise.
With Bloodborne,
I'm gonna die.
I know with Bloodborne, I could do fairly well enough up to a certain point. Like I could get to a certain point in the game, and then at this point, I'd really have to see if I can do it anymore, or if I'm that out of practice with it. And that would be like running into Father Gascoigne for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the moment of like win or lose. I could easily clear out the square again and even like retrain myself on the big old ogres and the werewolves and things like that, the giant rats and this and that and whatnot and what have you. It's I could even go down there and probably even beat the cleric beast, but it is getting past Father Gascoigne. That's going to be the moment where it's like, do I have it? Am I really rusty, or can I, die 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but get past him? Or am I going into an actual marathon here of just continuously dying against this man right now?
I feel you.
Yeah. Because, he's
kind
tough.
Of what I'm trying to test with in Orlando when I get to that point, Dark Souls, because I said that about Blighttown. I talked up Blighttown, but the boss battle against Ornstein and Smog is what really separates the men from the boys.
Precisely.
You gotta fight 2 guys at once, and it sucks.
Yeah.
You have to fight 2 bosses at the same time.
Yeah, and one of them is charge you with the lightning spear, and the other one's gonna smash you with the giant hammer, and it's just like annoying. And when you kill one of them, it supercharges the other and resets his health bar. It's freaking diabolical.
Yeah.
Those games are diabolical.
Yeah.
They're made to make you fail. They're set to make you fail.
If you can beat Ornstein and Smog, though, you may just have what it takes to finish out the game. Yeah. They're an interesting bunch.
I'm trying to think. There's another game that's kind of like that, and I can't remember what it is. Where you had to fight 2 bosses at the same time, and I was like, "This is nonsense."
Yeah, the first Ninja Gaiden.
Yes.
The first Ninja Gaiden.
The first Ninja Gaiden in and of itself was hard.
Yeah, but that there was that double boss battle between the 2 demon dogs or whatever the heck they are, but but there's the trick that if you kill I think it's the one on the right, if you kill the one on the right, the one on the left will die too. So you only really need to focus one of them. Pro tip. Pro tip to those of you who haven't played a game that came out back in 1980 whatever. In case any of you Golden Wonders out there listening are still stuck at that point in Ninja Gaiden, well, let me tell you what you can do.
I was talking to one of my friends, and he just recently beat that Ninja Gaiden, the very first one. Just recently, actually.
Well, it's not easy.
I was like, man, I told him, I said, that is an accomplishment. Because he's a younger guy, and, he wasn't even born when that came out yet. And I was like, that's a huge accomplishment. You have no idea. I was like, you should be proud of yourself, because that is a hard game.
It's like Ghosts and Goblins. There are people who were alive when that game first came out who have never beaten that game. Like it just never happened. Certain
that
games
hard.
Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten past the on Ghosts and Goblins. I don't think I've ever gotten past the city. I don't think I've ever made it past the city. No. I've made it past the
city, and that was it.
I've gotten past the graveyard. I've gotten past the graveyard and into it, and then the city level where you're like having to climb up the ladders and I've never gotten past that point.
Not me either.
I've watched people play
as far
it.
As I've got.
I'm like, mother, I don't. It's like Battletoads. I've never gotten past the hover bike, the first hover bike sequence. Never gotten past that.
I don't remember how far I got on that. That's probably where I died too.
That game is ridiculous. I've watched people play it. I've watched Let's Plays of it. And I've seen what that game offers beyond that point, and I'm like, you know what? I would have, even if I had managed to get past that point, I still wouldn't have ever beaten this game because there's no way. There's no freaking way I was ever going to do this, No freaking way I was ever going to beat that game. It took me and a dude that I used to know back in the day. Crazy, you would know this guy, but I don't want to say his name like on air. You know what I mean? I don't want to use his government name. Mm-hmm. But you knew this kid. I used to hang out with this kid, that tall Irish kid, kind of lanky. He had the two sisters and his and the mom and the dad, and the mom and the dad. But he had two sisters, and his dad decided to go into the same profession as our dad.
Uh-huh.
You kind of remember who I'm? Yeah. He was kind of a pervert, that kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I stayed the night at his house. I stayed the night at his house for one weekend, and him and I did a marathon on Ninja Gaiden, and we ended up beating that. And the only reason why we were able to beat that is because the real trick behind Ninja Gaiden is memorization. That's it. Like, it's not easy, and I say that, but it's memorization, knowing where all the best weapons are, knowing how to keep the best weapons, and literally memorizing what's coming up and what's coming from behind, and yada, 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 and you'll beat it eventually. And it took us about a weekend and a day to beat that game. And we were doing like what you and I and old Russ did with Final Fantasy VII, working in shifts. Just never turning it off. Yeah, just working in shifts to beat this. And it took us a lot longer on Final Fantasy VII, y'all. That wasn't no weekend and a day. That was like, how long did that take us? That took us like almost a year, didn't it? To like accomplish all of it. It was darn near a year.
I don't know. It took a while.
Yeah. I feel like it was like darn near a year because I'd go to school and come back, take on my shift. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. So, but yeah, something else that's crazy. Let me just segue hard left into this topic. I said earlier I wanted to talk, because of the Friday the 13th, I wanted to talk about a cursed game, And the Hellraiser revival wasn't it. Although that game is definitely going to be cursed. Definitely going to be cursed. So have you guys, and I know this is a gaming channel and we talk about video games and stuff like that, but like, I'm kind of a gamer. I love board games, video games, old games like Tag and yada, yada, yada. Not to sidetrack us too hard. Did you know that there is like world competitions of Tag?
Yeah, hard shout out to Tag.
Yeah, that's it. It's really cool, man. Like from like all over the world too. Like we're talking like worldwide competition of Tag. Like, yeah, it's crazy. And it really, like, the best American team is from California, and that doesn't surprise me really. Because I mean, in California, yeah, it is cool. Like they go into like adult jungle gyms and try to tag each other, and it's really cool. But no, so I love all kinds of games, and there's one cursed game that I have been really interested in playing, but I keep telling myself not to do it because, like, I feel like this is dangerous. And I don't know why, because, superstition, you're just being superstitious. But, like, once you ring a bell, you can't unring it, right? And so, have you guys ever heard of like the elevator game?
Oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like the one that girl was playing, and then she ended up being found in that freaking water storage tank on roof that hell or something.
Where they say like you go to a different
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
dimension or
it's a like a ritual, right? Like it's kind of like Young Guns, right? Where he's like, why aren't they looking at us? Because you're in the spirit realm, asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, apparently that's what it's supposed to do, right? Like, it's supposed to take you like into the spirit realm or something, right? And, yeah, like, they say you're supposed to enter the elevator alone, which is what really trips me out about that. Right? That you can't even go in there with somebody else. You have to enter the elevator alone. It must be allowed to at least reach 10 floors. Right? And yeah, you gotta you press the buttons in a certain order, right? You go to the 4th floor, the 2nd floor, the 6th floor, the 2nd floor, the 10th floor, then the 5th floor. And then they say, like, once you reach the 5th floor, a woman is supposed to enter the elevator with you. Here's my thing about that girl that, like, that they said was playing the elevator game, and then she ended up in the water tower or whatever. My thing is yeah. Well, my thing is if she had really, like, let's say she did enter the spirit realm or whatever, right? Well, then how did we catch her on tape? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if she were like in another like dimension or something, she would have like vanished or something. Like, something else was definitely going on that night with her, because she is acting like.
Well, you could think of it that way, that, you know, the idea of actually entering the spirit realm, but you could also think of it like she sees the spirit realm.
Yeah.
More so than she, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and she did do something like interesting. She was like feeling outside of the elevator and everything. Like, if you watch that video, she starts like putting her hands out and like feeling around like she's feeling for something. Right? And that's just crazy. Like, I've heard all kinds of speculation, like, oh, she was on drugs. Because she was like from Canada, I think, and she was taking a trip there to California, and so people speculated that like she met some people and they slipped something into her drink and she was hallucinating real bad, and this and that. But like, there's nobody there with her. Like, nobody shows up or anything. Like, it's not like somebody showed up to get her or anything. You know? So, I mean, they do have reports that she did meet some people and stuff like that, because she talked to people that she knows back home, said she had met some people and yada, yada, yada. Well, you know, that doesn't mean that they drugged her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in danger every time you step outside your front door, just because life is kind of like that. But if you were in that kind of serious danger every time you took a vacation, nobody would take a vacation, you know?
True.
Type of thing. Not everybody you meet is out to get you. I don't think she got, like, you know, maybe she did, but I don't know if, I wouldn't say that they drugged her, because if she got drugged by somebody, I don't think we would have gotten that kind of footage. You know? They'd have drugged her and taken her off to somewhere. Yeah. Perhaps she took some kind of drugs with these people and had a bad reaction to them, and that's her having a reaction to them. you know. But I don't think anybody did anything malicious to her. Now, I say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I say that, and she ended up in the hotel's water supply, you know. So something definitely happened to her. But see, that's what freaks me out about this elevator game, because like you said, Android, maybe you're not really in the spirit realm, maybe you're just perceiving it. So I don't know, man. Like
perceiving it, like
you can see it.
Just like you can
Yeah,
just
like
view
I
it.
used to see it.
Yeah,
and
because
see through, like you can see the overlay or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, because that's what they say.
Gotcha.
They say that this woman who enters the elevator, you're not supposed to speak or look at her because she's not human. You know what I mean? And they
That
say,
would be crazy.
yeah, they say after the woman enters, press the button for the first floor. If the elevator begins to descend, the ritual has likely failed, and you should exit the building without looking back once the doors open on the first floor. If the elevator ignores the first floor button and begins to ascend to the 10th floor, the ritual has succeeded.
Yeah, don't think I want to be a part of that ritual.
And then what happens?
If you
You die.
you get to the 10th floor and they say you have entered an alternate world that looks nearly identical to the real one, but all the lights will be off except for a faint red glow, and you will be the only person there. Electronic devices don't work. To return, players must get back into the same elevator, and it says players must get back into the same elevator and repeat a specific sequence to return to the real world, eventually arriving at the first floor. Before exiting on the first floor, you must carefully check your surroundings to ensure everything looks normal. If anything seems off, you are advised to stay in the elevator and repeat the steps. Here's the funny thing about that, right? It says you must get back in the elevator and repeat a specific sequence. But what is the specific sequence? Is it the 4th, 2nd, 6th, 2nd, 10th, 5th floor? Because it doesn't tell you.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm not. Mm-mm.
Yeah, Elisa Lam. That's who we were talking about in 2013. Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles is often associated with the legend due to the surveillance footage. But again, if this is to be believed, then we shouldn't have gotten her surveillance footage, right? Because you're supposed to be in, like, does it?
Well, I mean, they just got done saying that electronics doesn't work. So if electronics don't work, then how is that?
How did we catch her on film? Yeah.
Well, it says that electronics don't work after a specific point, right? So maybe she just failed the ritual or whatever at some point before triggering that event. If that makes sense.
Something definitely happened.
Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it.
Yeah. Well, maybe failure doesn't necessarily mean you're safe. You know what I'm saying?
Probably not.
Because you're still knocking on a door, right? It's kind of like playing with the Ouija board and not summoning Elvis. You know what I'm saying? But what did you summon?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can ring a bell. You can't unring a bell, you know? You knock on a door, you can't unknock that door, you know? So there's maybe she did. Maybe she technically failed that. She technically failed the game, but it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, well, you failed, try again. You know what I mean? You failed, but, you know, you called something. something's there with you now.
Yeah, like maybe she looked at the woman and the woman was like, now I'm going to scratch out your eyes and stuff you in a water tankard. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty terrible.
Whoa.
I mean, you know, like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that was a pretty rough way to word it. You're right. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
No, but no, it's true though. You know, she, you know, yeah, she poked the bear. You know, she bothered the Llorona. You know, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you're poking the bear by doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I mean that's.
I thought about doing it though.
Risky.
I thought about doing it, but the thing that I don't like is the rule: you enter the elevator alone. Like you have to be by yourself. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. You know?
Well, I don't think you're going to find anybody that's going to do that with you. So you are.
I mean, I'd do it.
Yeah, I was like, that is a lie. I could think of at least 4 people who would go with me. You know what I mean? My 11-year-old daughter would do it.
I'd do it.
Yeah. If I was just like, we're going to do this, she'd be like, okay. I know this.
Well, don't even ask me. I'll be like, nope. I'll be out here praying for you.
When you say things like that, it makes me think you want me to ask you.
No. I mean, you can ask.
But it's not going to happen.
But you're going to get a quick, swift rejection.
Yeah.
James, do you want a nope?
Nope. It's like that one meme with the guy who's like, yo, and he's like, what? And he goes, for $1 billion, would you? And he goes, yes. He goes, what? Damn, I didn't even ask you. I didn't even tell you what it is yet. And he goes, yes. The answer is yes. For $1 billion, doesn't matter what you're about to ask, because yes. It's that similar thing. It doesn't matter. I'd be like, James, would you? You'd be like, no. Or, yeah. Nope. Said your name.
Nope. Sure wouldn't.
I'm going to have to.
I said my name too, so don't feel bad.
That's true. You sure did. You sure did. I'm sure we've.
You can just throw in a bleep.
Well, if I'm even going to sort through the video far enough to find it.
He doesn't believe in editing audio.
Yeah, like I don't always. Yeah,
like adamantly against it.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing Kingdom Come. Have you guys played that yet?
Deliverance?
Yes.
No, I haven't. I wanted to. Remember, we were talking about that during the Game of the Year thing, but I haven't. No.
Well, this one isn't number 2. I'm not playing number 2. I'm playing number 1.
Oh.
And I was going to play number 2 first, but I posted about it in one of the gaming groups, and they were like, some people were like, yeah, you could play Kingdom Come 2 and you don't have to play Kingdom 1. And another guy was like, he's like, bro, he's like, let me tell you. He said, you can. He said, you can, and you'll have a good experience. It'll be fun. You don't have to necessarily play Kingdom Come 1. He said, but if you don't play Kingdom Come 1 first, you're going to be robbing yourself of a lot of, for one thing, fun gameplay, but for another, backup story and everything else. And he said, and it doesn't really matter, but if you are a story-driven person, I would suggest number 1. Well, I was gonna buy it, and then it came on Game Pass, so I was like, oh well, okay, great, let's do this. And this game is awesome. This game,
I haven't played it to completion, but I've played a bit of it, and I really like the first Kingdom Come. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's literally if you were living in medieval times, and it's not like there's no magic. You know what I mean? There's no magic. There's no supernatural.
Stop doing magic. You're still doing magic.
There's no supernatural spells and all that stuff. Like even your armor, you don't have like this souped up armor that saves you from getting burnt by fire. You know what I mean? Like most medieval RPGs. It's literally like if you were living in the medieval times.
Yeah, there's a
And-
level of realism.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, and it's there. In fact, the characters in the game, not your character, but the other characters, are based on real life people that once lived, like lords and stuff of England or whatever at that time, and it's fun. It's a fun game. The combat is certainly different and difficult,
Right.
and yeah, like you don't want to. For example, I don't care what armor you have, what weapon you have, anything like that. Because again, it's all realistic. So you don't have like plus 50 armor or something like that. It's like you're wearing normal armor that you'd be wearing in real life. And so like I don't care what armor you have, what weapons you have, you're not going to be able to take on 3 or 4 guys at once. You're going to die. So if you're in a
Not
mission where
unless you are that freaking guy.
yeah, I mean, I suppose if you could work up your skills and stuff, skill set up like that, and catch some weak bandits or something, you probably could. But say you're like on a mission and there's several guys there, you're gonna have to think of a way to complete this mission without having to fight all these 3 or 4 guys. And it took me forever to figure that out. And then I was like, I wonder if I waited till night if they were asleep. And that's exactly what happened. And you go there, they're asleep and they're not wearing all their armor, they don't have weapons, and you knock a few out, and then you go kill the guy that's, basically bare-fisted, and then you get that mission done. But yeah, it's stuff like that. And then there's like you have to eat, you have to sleep. There's, but it's not like like in what's the game like Minecraft or Fallout where you got to continuously eat food. You know what I'm saying? It's not like
Yeah,
that.
it doesn't feel
but you-
obnoxious.
It's not
but you
a
do have to eat.
survival mode type of thing. Yeah.
Right. It's survival to a point, but it's not to the point where you've got to constantly be eating, or else you're gonna go hungry. You can eat like a meal a day, and go about your business. And then as you see your energy depleting, you go find a tavern or somewhere to sleep, or an inn, not a tavern, an inn or your house or whatever, and somewhere to sleep, and you go to sleep for a little bit, and then you get back up and do your thing. The fast travel part is really cool because when you fast travel, it's not like, like Skyrim, for example, where you fast travel, it goes to that load screen, and then you're just in that town. It shows you the map, and it shows you as you're walking. And you can enter different events, like you could get attacked by bandits, or you could see something interesting, and it'll say percent chance of, you could, for bandits, for example, if bandits are ambushing you, it'll say you have a percent chance if you fight, or you have a percent chance to flee. And then you choose what you want to do from there, and then it goes from there on, and whatever. It's a really cool game. I think both of you guys would like this game, actually, and then another thing is, you've got different skills and stuff like that, and you literally build your skills not by when you level up or whatever, that you add these points to your skills. It's by what you're doing. For example, in the medieval times, of course, nobody knew how to read. So I had to go talk to a scribe to learn how to read. So now I can read books. And the more books that I read, the more my reading level goes up. The more my reading level goes up, then it opens up like perks that you can add to your reading level that'll give you different things. And there's stuff like that. But it's not just reading. I mean, swordmanship. Literally all your skills you get is by actually doing that skill. So if you want to be a good archer, you're going to go to like an archery place and just continually shoot targets till you get your archery skill up.
Right.
If you want to do that. Or if you're battling or hunting or whatever, of course, the more you use your bow and arrow, the more your skill's going to go up. And I think that is cool. Yeah, I think it's cool. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. And
it is a sweet game, bro. Pretty cool.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I can't wait to play the second one.
Android, did I hear that you said you hadn't played it to completion?
Right. Yeah. No,
So
I haven't.
it's
I haven't
fair.
played very far into it.
So it's fair to say you've only edged it.
I've only
At this-
edged it. A little
at
bit.
this- at this
Not
point-
even really that, because edging it implies that I got deep enough into it where I could have completed it and chose not to. What I did instead is I gave it a little tease. You know what I mean?
I see.
gave it a little
Yeah.
tease, and then I backed out. I was like, oh no, I don't think this is what I really. Right
Not right now. Not right now. You had to show a little self-control. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. Well, in gaming news right now, we have some free games that are out there right now. On PS Plus and PS Extra, we have Soul Calibur 3 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. On Game Pass, we have Space Marine 2, which Space Marine 1 was fantastic, and Resident Evil Village.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool, you know. I guess the game Dispatch, which a lot of people seem to like right now, you know, where you're the dispatcher of the superheroes or whatever. Like, I guess the story goes you were once a superhero and then like you lost your powers or something like that. Or something happened. Maybe you just got into a lot of trouble and now you're like prohibited of using your superpowers. I'm not entirely sure. But it's out on Switch now, where it says January 28th and we're in February. So I guess Dispatch just came out for the Switch. So all you Switch players out there can now play Dispatch.
Also, High on Life 2 has dropped on Game Pass as well.
I don't even know what High on Life 1 is. If
It's
I'm being
interesting.
honest,
I didn't know
game-
that the second one was even out.
I
honestly.
don't
Yeah,
know what
it
High
just
on
dropped-
Life is.
It just dropped 2 days ago on Game Pass. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
High on Life.
It's,
High on Life is the video game that was made by the same guys that did Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a first-person shooter.
Dan
was hilarious.
Dan Harmon.
It's actually really fun.
It is. It's hilarious.
The-
The guns are like little aliens that talk to you, and they crack jokes, and it's a hilarious game. To give you an example, in the first one, they give homage to Tiny Tim.
The singer Tiny Tim?
So
Yeah.
Yep. The tiptoe through the tulips or whatever.
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. In your house, it's playing on the TV. That creepy.
Yeah, it's not meant to be creepy, but it just is. Yeah. Like I don't think he wrote it to be creepy, but yeah. Or maybe he did. Maybe he was like self-aware enough to know if I write this, it's going to creep people out because I'm creepy.
I think my wife told me one time it was like supposed to be a romantic song.
Well, like, yeah, he was. Tiny Tim was married to a model, so
for who? Lydia Dietz.
Lydia Dietz.
That song is scary.
No kidding. For who? Lydia Dietz? Of all the random people you could have said, you said the one that is strange and unusual. Yeah.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Yeah.
For some reason, dude, whenever I think of like dark, gothic type women, I think of Lydia Dietz and I think of the chick from The Craft.
Which one?
Old Big Mouth or
The
so.
crazy one. The crazy one.
Oh, the one from what's her name? Firuza Balk.
Oh, freaking Charms.
From Return to Oz. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one. Mm-hmm.
which is a pretty scary movie for kids to a pretty freaky kids movie. Return to Oz is
Bobby Boucher's girlfriend.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got that clock.
Dun, dun,
creepy
dun,
clock.
dun, dun. Yeah. Dorothy Gale. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how that was a kid's movie at all.
That part used to scare me, dude. Like I used to, when I was a little kid, I'd get up and leave the room and just wait a little bit and come back in and be like, okay, yeah, they're flying through the air. Everything is safe now. Because
It's certainly a lot different than we're off to see the wizard.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Off to piss our pants is what we're off to do.
We're off to shit our gizzards.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, no way, dude. Like, yeah.
I'm not Lydia Dietz. This is not cool to me.
Yeah, well, Lydia Dietz, though, yeah, I mean, I can understand that because, like, yeah, she was the quintessential, like, goth girl, you know, in a time before that was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't
right.
And when the first Beetlejuice dropped, man, that wasn't necessarily like the popular thing to be. It's not like today where you have entire like compilations of goth girls doing goth things. You know what I'm saying? And there, yeah, like, and now it's turned into like a sexuality type thing. No, like there's nothing sexual about Lydia Dietz. She's just a strange little kid in that movie. You know what I mean?
Strange and unusual.
Yeah, she is strange and unusual. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. For who? Lydia Dietz? Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that the girl from Return to Oz was in The Craft. I forgot.
I did too until you just mentioned it just now. And I was like, yeah, that is her actually.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Like, I was sitting there the other night watching Scream 3 with my wife, and you know, and this is going to sound crazy, but when the third Scream originally came out, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I thought it was kind of weak. I thought it was kind of a weak movie. But then Scream 4 dropped, and now we have all the new Screams, and those are just Scream 4 through like all the new ones are just dog water. It's just crap. And I'll tell you what, man, when that one Scream, I guess Scream 5, when it came out, and those two insufferable twins are sitting there talking about the best horror directors and blah, blah, blah. And they mentioned Jordan Peele. What? Name one. Okay. Get Out was okay. But it really takes a huge suspension of disbelief. You know what I'm saying? Like,
movie's overrated.
It's okay. It's an okay movie, but it's like, it's not like Being John Malkovich. You know what I'm saying? Like, Being John Malkovich kind of makes sense because like it is John Malkovich, right? And it's like, well, who really wants to take over John Malkovich's like body? But then you realize, well, but he is uber wealthy. I mean, he's John Malkovich. Like, if you can steal his body, regardless of the fact that he's, you know, John Malkovich, you're going to be living comfortably, you know? Like, you could say the same thing. You could have made that movie about anybody. Being Paul Rubens, who is Pee Wee Herman, but being Paul Rubens, and it's like, yeah, who would want to do that? And then you realize, well, but he's also got money and you'll be comfortable. Like, you'll steal anybody wealthy's body, technically. But the premise behind Get Out is what? Really rich white people want to steal the bodies of black people. Why? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. You're not any more wealthy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's low key racist because what he's really saying there is that white people just secretly want to be black. And that's just racist. Mm-hmm. I'm not, you know, it's an okay movie because of like the twists and turns in it. And again, Being John Malkovich is, you know, it's got a similar premise, and that movie was interesting, and you know, it's got some twists in it, and it really is just like a crappy scenario. Like, you think to yourself, oh, I don't know what I would do in that situation type of thing. But that's about like the only interesting thing Jordan Peele has made. Like Us was stupid. His remake of Candyman sucked. Freaking
I saw that movie in the theaters and I was so
Candyman or Us. Oh, I don't know why. No, I knew that was going to be stupid. Like none of it makes sense. Like narratively, it makes absolutely no sense. Like
it was basically the same thing as Get Out.
Yeah, well, the boat makes no sense. The boating makes absolutely no sense in that movie. It's a Chekhov's gun that never gets used. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. Like none of it makes any sense. Nope makes absolutely like it's stupid. Nope is stupid.
See,
the Candyman
Nope had
sucked.
potential. Nope had so much potential, but
it could
by not telling us what it was. Like it's an abrupt ending. You don't even know what the heck was going on with it. You know what I mean? It's just
he's just trying.
I wasted all that time for that. Like that movie sucked.
Jordan Peele is just so all those Scream movies sucked, and terrible takes. That Scream 5 is low key like crap talking. People who want consistency in their movies and yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? It was Hollywood's way of being like, quit being mad at us for changing your IPs to fit our modern sensibilities. Like it's one of those things, which is funny to me because Scream 4, at least the last Scream that was directed by Wes Craven before he passed away, Scream 4 is saying the exact opposite. It's saying, quit remaking good stuff. Quit changing the IPs. You know what I mean? And even though Scream 4 sucked, you can at least respect it because Wes Craven's like, you don't F with the original, right? But yeah, so I'm watching Scream 3 and I actually like it now because I've come to appreciate it because it's like, no, actually, I didn't realize how good we had it. Like this is actually a pretty good little flick, but I'm sitting there watching it and my wife, she makes fun of Neve Campbell's acting, right? Because she's like, she's so dramatic, like, and she is like, she's an overactor. And I'm thinking to myself, well, the only thing I've seen her in is this and Wild Things, right? Like the Scream series and Wild Things. I don't think she had like much of she was on that television show Party of Five, but I'd be amiss if I was like, her acting was great on that, I guess, because I never watched that crap. But I'm like, I've only seen her in those, but no, I guess she was in The Craft too. I completely forgot about The Craft. Yeah, like if you think about it, Neve Campbell really hasn't done a whole lot, and yet because of the Scream franchise, she's uber wealthy. I mean, shoot, put me in something.
That franchise was uberly successful. I do have hope for this new one coming out because, they're bringing everybody, the originals back to the thing with Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, and there's speculation that Matthew Lillard's going to be in it, but
he would be dead, wouldn't he?
What happened? Well, supposedly.
I mean, I guess you could, out of everybody who's died in that series, he's the only one that could feasibly survive because all he did was have a television drop on his face. I mean, he'd just be looking like the Punisher villain Jigsaw,
Yeah. Yeah, just have a real jacked up face.
Yeah.
Feeling a little woozy here, man. But in the newest ones, they brought in that girl that plays Wednesday, I forget her name.
Yeah.
And then her big sister and all that stuff. Well, they were actually supposed to, continue on with the series with them, but what happened with that was
they suck.
It was no. It had to do with they were doing the support of Palestine and all that stuff with the not to get too political, but this is what happened. They were doing all the support about Palestine and all that stuff, and whoever's running the the Scream movie said, "Hey, you got to quit doing that." You know what I mean? You got to stop. You got to stop doing that.
Yeah, you're going to alienate some of the audience.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. Keep your politics to yourself, but when you're working on this, you're representing us. Stop doing that. And they refused to do it, and they quit the movies. So then they had to redo, because that Scream was supposed to be out like a couple of years ago. So then what they had to do was redo the whole script, and when they did that, they brought back in Neve Campbell, possibly Matthew Lillard, and all them back. And in a sense, I think that's probably the best thing that could have happened for the Scream franchise.
Yeah.
It may revitalize it, because like you said, the other ones, I did like the very last one. I did like that one. But the other one I didn't care.
I don't know if I haven't watched it. Like, I watched Scream 5, and when I saw what Scream 5 was about, I was like, you know what? Just screw it, dude. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I kind of thought Scream 5 was a little lame.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, I thought Scream 5 was a little lame, but I did like Scream 6. Now, I didn't like Scream 6 better than I did, 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Nah, you ain't gonna beat 1, 2, and 3.
Scream 6 was pretty good. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful.
Speaking of Matthew Lillard,
and it goes back to the lore of Scream. You know what I mean? It goes all the way back to the very beginning of the lore of Scream. And I won't say any more of that than that.
Speaking of Matthew Lillard, right? I just recently saw a meme, and I was telling Android about this. I'll say it on here. I watched, it wasn't even a meme. It was live, or like it was caught footage, like on a Ring camera or something, of a dude getting chased off of Matt Lillard's property. Like he was trying to like break in. And the video is just this dude like in the snow. He's like on the ice, it's wintertime. And you just hear somebody go, "Oh yeah, mother effer, come here, mother effer, come here, mother effer." And the dude like turns around and he's trying to run away, but he's like sliding around everywhere. And here comes Matthew Lillard chasing this dude off his property in nothing but his underwear. Tell him, "Come here, mother effer, I'll beat your mother effer." You know what I mean? And it is the funniest thing I have seen in a minute, because it was like, that's Matthew Lillard, dude. You know what I mean? Like, who knew that this man, dude is trying to break in, and I guess he didn't know it was, whose place it was, but like Matthew Lillard chases him off his property in the middle of winter in nothing but his underwear. Just trying to beat this dude up.
It kind of reminds me of somebody else.
It is so funny, dude. It is so
He's
funny.
starting to make a comeback, though. He's starting to make a comeback with the Five Nights at Freddy franchise.
Well, one of the best movies I think I saw in like the early 2000s was with him in it, and it was SLC Punk.
I know you were going to say that.
That movie was just fantastic, though. Like I saw it. It just came on TV. I didn't know what I was watching, and I don't even remember. It might have been like the IFC channel, like Independent Film Channel. I don't remember, but like it just came on, and I was just vibing with it instantly. And I didn't know what I was getting into. And it's just like his acting, like Matthew Lillard really can act. That end scene where he starts crying and has that emotional, you know what, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie from the early 2000s, and I don't know what people are out there doing, but when his buddy Heroin Bob dies, and he has that scene where he's just crying, dude. That is probably like one of the saddest things I have ever seen committed to film before in my life, because he's not really there. Like Matthew Lillard, he's not really there when he's doing that scene. You can look into that man's eyes and you realize he's remembering something. He's seeing something else and just reciting his lines to it. Like the pain he's feeling at that moment is real, and you can just tell. Those tears are real. And it's just, man, it gets me even thinking about it now. You know, when he says that, when he's talking to him and he goes, "You were my only friend. You know, you were my only friend. Who am I gonna have now?" Like, dude, that I'm getting ate up inside just talking about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that movie is brilliant. You know, Matthew Lillard is brilliant and never really got his due. You know, so good for him. If he's making a comeback, good for him. You know?
Yeah. With Five Nights at Freddy's, and then maybe he's in the Scream. Speculation he is. Yeah, I mean, he's starting to revitalize his career, I guess. But it's crazy that it's all scary movies are, you know, supposed to be scary movies. I don't find any of them scary, but they're supposed to be scary movies. He's like a scary movie actor.
The first Scream was scary in the sense where it felt like this could happen. Mm-hmm. In a weird sort of way. There was like a strange, like, meta realism to it. Like, you know what? If people really thought this through, they could possibly pull this off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it became hokey as time went by. You know what I mean? Like, in the second one, you're not going to pull Randy into a van and stab him to death, and nobody's going to notice. That van is shaking so hard that, yeah, you're not thinking to yourself, somebody's getting stabbed with a knife in there, but you're thinking to yourself, there are people effing in public right now. You know what I'm saying? And you're and campus security isn't just going to walk by that and say, "Oh, they're just having fun." No, they're going to be like, "That's indecent. You got to move it somewhere." You know what I mean? Like, little things like that. But in the first Scream movie, yeah, you could feasibly pull off some of those kills. Well, maybe not when the chick gets stuck, Tatum, when Rose McGowan gets stuck in the garage door and crushed like that. She'd have been screaming. You'd have heard that screaming. I don't care. All them people are in there watching that movie and they're laughing or whatever. You'd have heard that screaming. You'd have heard her screaming. You'd have heard like, you might not have been out there to save her in time, but you'd have seen her get killed, and then everybody would have been like, what is going on here? But that's about the most unfeasible one throughout that whole movie. You know, all the others you could feasibly pull off just because of the way they did it, you know? And that is what kind of made that movie scary, in the sense where it's like, oh man, I sure hope the freaking edgelords don't start taking this too seriously. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and in those days you didn't. Like, you'd have watched that and you knew who the bad guy was. Nowadays, people might be like, oh, you know what? I'm like Stu off of Scream. Like, imagine that movie coming out now. You know, you'd have people like making videos being like, Stu was right. You know what I mean? Like they do with Thanos. Thanos was right. And it's like, really? Was he though? You know what I mean? Type of thing. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. So, yeah, you might have something like that, but yeah, that's what made that, you know, speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's, did you watch that?
I've watched both of them.
I haven't seen the second one. I didn't really like
the first one.
Yeah, what'd you think of it?
It was all right.
Yeah? How about you, Crazy?
The first one, same. The first one was okay.
Okay, so I guess I'm the outlier. I did not like it. I've only played the first Five Nights at Freddy's, so, but I've watched videos on the lore and things like that, like the two kinds of lore out there, because there's the actual game lore, and then there's the lore that one of the like fans created that they did such a good job that people actually look at it as an alternative lore now, right? And it is slightly darker than the original lore, but the original lore ain't exactly all sunshines and rainbows, right?
Right.
But that's my problem with the movie, is the fact that the little girl makes friends with Freddy Fazbear. Like, they're not good guys. Like, I understand that, like, the spirits of the children are stuck in the animatronics, but they're not good. they're not good guys. Like that's the whole point of the first game is the fact that you're fending them off. You're trying not to.
Right, but she doesn't. But she doesn't realize that they're not good.
Well, no, I understand that about her
because they're deceptive.
I get that. That Freddy Fat. You know what I'm saying? I get that, but they're. That's what I'm saying. Like she should have realized that they're not, or she should have thought that they were okay, and they could have been deceptive, and then they bite her face off or something. And I know that sounds really freaking. But that would have been way more in line with the Five Nights at Freddy's than, and I know there's people out there. I've been in an argument with somebody about this online already. They're like, I would have been broken if they had killed her and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, then you're not, then what are you watching a horror movie for? Like
there's a level to it that feels like they have to compromise with gore factor and stuff since the Five Nights at Freddy's brand was inadvertently kind of taken over by children. You know what I mean?
Well,
since they're aware that that children are going to be going to see the movie, they have to make it more of a PG-13 than an R experience. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get that.
That's why I like that movie with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Willy's Wonderland. That's where I was going with this. Willy's
Great
Wonderland
movie.
is more of a Five Nights at Freddy's horror movie than Five Nights at Freddy's.
The second one goes further into the lore and is better than the first by a lot.
Interesting. I'll probably end up giving it a watch just for,
the
fun of it. Out of pure curiosity.
I'll do it for the Vine.
I ain't gonna do it.
Do it for the Vine. Yeah, I
well, now I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
Now I ain't gonna do it.
Ain't gonna do it. Yeah, I don't know. Like I was like, man, it just wasn't like the idea of like making friends with Freddy Fazbear, turning Freddy Fazbear into a good guy in general. Like into like one of the, I get that technically he's not really a bad guy. He's just a vengeful spirit. But, he's not necessarily good either.
That's kind of like where it gets strange, because did you ever see anything for the Security Breach game?
No, see, that's the thing. Like, I don't know much about the games. I just know about the lore, right?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, because it feels like that Security Breach. I don't really know how it fits into the lore exactly, but it almost feels like it's a soft reset on the lore in some aspect, because Freddy Fazbear is your ally throughout the game. Like, he helps you navigate through the whole thing.
This is why you need to watch the second movie.
Right. Yeah, they're kind of doing like what Marvel did with its comic books, resetting the lore of its comic books to fit the movies more than having the movies fit the pre-established lore type of thing.
Kinda, but I wouldn't say they're resetting it. More so that they're just carrying out the original concept, I guess. I mean, there are things obviously that are different, but I wouldn't say that it's a reset per se.
Right.
Because the game came out, that Security Breach came out before the movies.
Right.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of, but not really resetting.
Well, there is, in the lore in general, there is this idea that it's not so much that he becomes good. It's the fact that when you figure out as the story progresses and they figure out who you figure out who Freddy Fazbear really is, and like who they all are, right? Chickadee or whatever her name is, and the rest of them. You know that they're the trapped spirit of these kids and things like that. And it's one of those situations where they're like vengeful spirits and they're out to just hurt everybody originally, but as they come to acknowledge who is really responsible for their death, they become more vengeful and start trying to just take revenge solely on that one person. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're still good. You know what I'm saying? It becomes more like an enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right, but they're kids.
Yeah.
That's the thing. These aren't adults. These are kids, and kids are, well, we know the mind of a child. They're just not, they don't understand. And these are kids.
Right.
So I don't think the kids are necessarily evil.
Yeah. I mean, if a ghost kid, like if a kid that's a ghost, like appears next to me right now, I'm probably going to punch him. Kid or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to throw a hand because, like, that's not supposed to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so that's just kind of how I look at it with, like, I take the Winchester approach to when it comes to monsters. You know, it's a monster. So let's erase it. You know, let's send it to wherever it's supposed to go. You know, type of thing. Yeah.
It's a tormented soul.
Yeah, it's something. It's something, all right. Well, okay. I suppose we should close this out, huh?
Wrap it up.
Yeah, we've gone.
Yeah, good time too.
Yeah, we've got about 3 hours, so we're at that point. So, you guys got anything crazy? You got anything you want to shout out or?
No, I think I'm good.
Android?
Go play Kingdom Come. It's a great game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Same.
I ain't got nothing.
Yeah. Posting this to Lord Pog Gaming. Yeah. You know, why you're here. Check out some of the other videos. Join the Patreon, help support the channel. And yeah. It's about all I got. So, one other thing. For all you wrestling fans out there, 2K26 is supposed to be coming out March 13th. So, enjoy that. I quit playing wrestling games like forever ago. I
that game is supposed to be really good.
Is it? Because, man, 2K, what was it? 2K19 was really good. And then they came out with 2K20, and it's like they said, "Oh, this game is too good. We've got to, you know what I mean." And part of my problem with the 2K series, wrestling series in general, is the idea that it's like one game will have really good character creation, and then the next game, it's like they took everything they made good about the character creation and made it. And I know part of the reason is because they're like, well, you're not really supposed to buy this game for the character creation. You're supposed to buy it for, they call them COS, right? But you're not supposed to be buying it for the character creation. You're supposed to be buying it for our superstars. You're supposed to want to be our superstars. It's like, get out of here. Most people who buy that game buy these games so they can make a ton of their own created wrestlers and then feel like they're running their own wrestling promotion, because you've gotten rid of GM mode, and you got rid of create your own story mode. You've got universe mode, which is kind of like GM mode, but it's kind of like, it's like universe mode is kind of like going on a blind date and then finding out that it's your long lost sister. You know what I'm saying? It's not really, you know, it's just crap. It seems all good at first, and then you realize, oh no, this is terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I agree. That was one of my biggest complaints was when they got rid of GM.
Yeah.
I quit buying the games after that. I think the last one I bought was like 24, 23, I don't know, something like that. But that's when I quit buying those games, is when they got rid of the GM mode, because that was my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, GM mode. I liked create your own story mode, but I understand why they got rid of it, because it was goofy anyways. I understand why they got rid of it. It was goofy, but like, you know, I remember me and Dragons used to play GM mode against each other. Like, I'd run Raw, he'd run SmackDown. And the only thing we agreed with on each other is no hiring the other person's wrestlers. Like, no accepting contracts from no stealing from each other. You know what I mean? We'll play, like, we'll do like a year, and then we'll make trades with one another and see what we can, you know what I mean? Type of thing. But beyond that, like, no. And that was the only thing, you know? So yeah. Beyond that though, like, but I mean, who knows? 2K26 might be what brings it back, you know? I think this is the second time they've had CM Punk as their wrestler on the cover, because I know he was on 2K, what was it? 2K19 or 2K20? It was one of the two. So it's interesting to see him back on the game cover again. That man has had quite the career. That man has had quite the career, that one. Tell you what.
Yeah, going from wrestling to UFC back to wrestling.
Yeah. And like,
or not UFC, it was,
yeah, he was in UFC. Yeah. I think, well, maybe he wasn't UFC, but yeah, you're right.
No, it was the other one.
Bellator,
yeah.
Yeah, like, Bellator. He's the only person I know who's been insufferable enough to get, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and, you know, I liked CM Punk for a while there, and I don't necessarily hate him now, but it's just, I don't know. Wrestling's not quite what wrestling used to be. Like, I don't find myself getting behind anybody. Like, I feel like they've got a few wrestlers that if they just really did something with, they would actually be really great. I think Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles really could be, like, great wrestlers, because they are great wrestlers, you know? Drew McIntyre is not necessarily like this massive athletic, but he's tall, he's naturally built, he's a powerhouse, you know? And then you've got AJ Styles, who's just a phenomenal wrestler, man. Like, go watch some of his New Japan, you know, and it's just incredible. Like, the man is just an incredible athlete, and they've really done nothing with either one of them, you know? Not really. And it's just crazy to me.
It's become a federation of what I call the nepotism federation.
Yeah. I agree. If I have to watch another wrestling thing and hear yeet one more freaking time, I am going to yeet the television.
Like, yeah, I mean, there was no reason that Roman Reigns should have had that long of a reign at all. Period.
Yeah,
he's not that good of a wrestler, and they're like, "Oh, he's the greatest wrestler of all time." No, he's not, dude.
No, not even close.
He's a brawler for one. He has no technique, and his mic skills suck.
Yeah. He's got no ring psychology. He's got no mic skills. He's had to been carried. Every good match he's ever had, he was carried. And you know that because when he defended the belt against Goldberg, that match only lasted a total of like maybe 10 minutes. Because Goldberg wasn't ever really the greatest wrestler, but he could go. You know what I mean? But he was also an old man at this time. And Roman can't carry him. So there you go. You know, Roman doesn't know how to wrestle. Goldberg's too old to partially wrestle. The match can only last 10 minutes, and there it is. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. You know what I'm saying? Like that one match right there proves that. Yeah, and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock both in just 1 month would defend their heavyweight championships more times.
Well, you know, back in the day,
than Roman Reigns would do in a year. Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is Roman Reigns defended the belt less in 1 year than The Rock or Stone Cold would in 1 month, in 1 week. They would have 2 shows and they defend the belts twice as much than Roman would in a year. And everybody's like, oh, 65 days or whatever it is. You know, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you give me the belt, I can stay home and do nothing too and just let the time rack up. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, get out of here with that. You know, there was nothing good about Roman Reigns. Like, never, although I did say this. I said, the only way Roman Reigns is going to become uber popular is if he does the same thing as The Rock did, because nobody liked The Rock when he first started either. They used to tell him to go kill himself. You know what I mean? And then they turned him into a villain. And look how big he blew up. And I said, that's the only way it's going to work for Roman Reigns too, is if he becomes a villain. They'll love to hate him at first, and then he'll become popular. And that's what happened. And I'm like, okay. And I was kind of about the bloodline at first. I was like, this is an interesting plot. Cool. Yada, yada, yada. But he never improved on his mic skills. He never improved in his wrestling. Nothing improved about him. And then the bloodline just became this generation's NWO, where the plot ran so long that it became stale.
Yeah,
you know?
Very stale.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's like, oh, now there's 2 bloodline families. I'm like, you mean like the NWO and the NWO Wolfpack? You know what I'm saying? Like, the plot of the bloodline followed the NWO beat for beat. You know, like, nah, F all that. F modern WWE. F modern wrestling in general. Like, I like the indie stuff. Like, if I'm watching wrestling, I'm like checking out the indies and seeing who does what. You know what I mean? Like, I like Will Ospreay, although now he's wrestling with AEW, or was, but his indie stuff, fantastic. You know, what's his name? Jacob Fatu, when he was with MLW, fantastic stuff. You know, you know, guys like that, guys who have to actually get out there and really wrestle, fantastic stuff. You know, it's good stuff.
Well, that's how it's always been, though. The independent are the ones that do all the, you know, more challenging, I guess you could say, stuff than the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, but at least the mainstream was giving us something that we didn't necessarily need the indies. You know what I'm saying? It's gotten to a point where the, you know, wrestling used to be broken up into the territories, you know? And then WWE, or WWF at the time, Vince McMahon, he kind of did away with all that by buying it all out and making wrestling a syndicated thing. And there was WCW to kind of be that counteract. And, you know, the territories really weren't the territories anymore. You still had minor leagues, but they really weren't the territories anymore. The territories are coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like, ROH is a territory now, you know? Nashville wrestling is a territory now. MLW is a territory, you know? These different, there's guys flying all the way to Australia right now to wrestle with their, you know, to wrestle with that promotion. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all, the territories have returned, and that's why you see WWE now making deals with like AAA and stuff like that. You know, they also made deals with TNA, so now AAA, now WWE wrestlers show up on both AAA and TNA, and you would have never seen that back in the day. You know?
Right.
WWE acted like other promotions don't even exist. You know? So that lets you know just how far WWE has fallen. You know?
Well, and also UFC, the company that owns UFC, now owns WWE.
Yeah, what is that company's name? I can't remember, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah, it's something corny sounding like Powerhouse or something like that. It's kind of a corny name. I know, like Triple Threat or some crazy name like that. I know who you're talking about. Yep. Okay, let's close it out. Let's close it out. It's getting late. Let's do this. Okay. I want to thank all you Golden Wonders out there for listening to us. And again, check out the channel and like, share, and subscribe. Help support the channel. Join the Patreon, you know. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting enough support to do this full time. You know, yeah. So
I would second that.
Yeah, so there you have it. But we'll catch you on the next one. All right, y'all come back now. Stay golden. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Now